but you can't get everything.
No, and Nisha, seeing all those heroes on the other side of the map, will try and punish Cloud9 as much as possible. Just hitting that tier 2, while Insania will soak up the enemy jungle as much as he can. Already has a mech. Cloud9 will time their Tormentor with the Wisdom Rune spawning.
Oh, they got that good one too. This Wyvern Shard is some decent value. You can push with it. Good in the fights. Tayomi going to be happy about that one. Plus, he found the Grove Bow, but Liquid, they have perhaps other plans? I don't think you're Roshani at this point in the game.
No, I don't feel like their lineup really is that adept at being able to do it quickly.
But you are closing in on the double BKB here. Mickey finished his. He also got the Grove Bow, pretty nice. And 33, his is flying out right now. So if you are Liquid and you want to make a move in this game, now's kind of the time to do it. Find a random neutral item. I don't know whose that was, but he will claim it. I mean, it's a good time to fight with the double BKB. You have to worry about hookshot and curse, but again, if you can get on top of the leaner or sniper with the Razor BKB, that's the key to a teamfight victory here.
Cloud9 are going to take the first step here, though. And it's great for them if they don't run into the BKB heroes. Hard to be able to catch this puck. They're making a long wraparound behind him here.
Do they see Mickey in the river?
Oh, they managed to get a scan onto this move from Cloud9. Cloud9's own scan has narrowed down the search area here to right next to their tier 2 tower. And they'll catch Boxy for it. Certainly not what they were looking for. They wanted, I'm sure, a core out of that smoking.
Yes, they committed everybody for that move again, right? Brought both the carries. Though they do get a D-ward out of it, they control this bottom part of the map, which is where this Roshan is. And I think you just commit to it here if you're Cloud9. Like, I don't think you can commit so many of these 5-man smokes without getting some sort of map control.
Got him in the curse. Trying to set up for the TP rotations. The LSA off the curse. Here comes the burst damage, and it's more than enough.
That is exactly what you were looking for this entire game if you are Cloud9. It does not take too many puck deaths this game to really swing the momentum in your favor. And now that Roshan, it's open for 40 seconds here, no puck, and you can run back towards bottom.
Yeah, felt like Cloud9, they were a little timid about taking that Roshan with just a support pickoff, but a core pickoff, they are certainly better set up to start it. Can they actually take it, though? Liquid, I mean, are they going to contest?
The issue here is you don't have BKBs on your cores, and you're playing against Naga. This is a scary Roshan to commit to because Insania walks in there, he gets a good sleep. Could just be an absolute disaster of a team fight.
Liquid, they're not going to give this one up for free. Cloud9 know it too. Good read by them. They're going to back away from the Roshan pit here. Concede this area. They don't really have to worry too much about Liquid taking it. What they have to worry about is getting jumped on. A blink forward, not going to find him quite yet. No one. Immediately uses the Hurricane Pike to try and separate the two. Got the Gleipnir onto the Tusk. See if they can kill him before the stop. But there it is, the song. Now the reset of the team fight. They've got a Doom on the Kunkka as well, so he's not going to be able to help out. They just surround this poor sniper. There's no way out of this one. Fishman trying to protect him as best he can with the cogs. They have the Embrace, slowing down the damage as best as possible, but Mickey sticks onto the sniper with his BKB. No retreat possible for Cloud9 sniper.
They bought back DM Kunkka, who just died to Doom on the backside of that. Doesn't get to do anything in this fight. Watson's just out of here.
A buyback that doesn't seem worth it because the trade-off was nothing. Absolutely nothing for him. I mean, maybe you could say you're stopping Liquid from doing Roshan, but I'm not even sure if they were going to go for it.
Yeah, I don't think they had plans. So it was a smoke to prevent Cloud9 doing it. I mean, there was a sick LSA there from Watson, but they couldn't catch Nisha for the full duration. It just skirts out of there. And that's one way to use a sleep in this game. You can use it defensively, but if you can just sleep the sniper, get the Razor straight on top of him, not much you can do about it here. Yeah, they really needed Curse in that sort of exchange. That was a big factor there for Liquid and why they made that aggressive. There was a sick Curse on cooldown from that mid play earlier. It was around 15 seconds from coming back up. That was something that could have bailed your sniper out of that situation, but they just didn't have that tool.
Yeah, they were. There was multiple targets there for a potential Curse, but as you said, Liquid knew the timing, played it accordingly. That Boots of Travel is done. Hurricane Pike up next for Watson. As you said, Hurricane Pike cores for both on Cloud9. Just trying to play the distance.
I think they're both going to go BKB at this game as well.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to BKB and land the LSA on the puck when you need to, or BKB fight through a Doom. 33 continues to find a lot of farm in here. Even took Philosopher Stone on this Doom. The greed is good, he says. Once more, he is very large. Shiva's done, going back for another Midas. Just keep buying the Midas.
Philly Stone Doom, I've seen it all now. And he's about to get that Philly Stone completion, that big chunk of gold that comes in now after it's done. With a Shivas and tier 3 item to replace it soon, Liquid's going to be very strong in 2 minutes time, but they haven't managed to use that strength to actually claim a net worth lead too much.
Eyeing this dire side, Roche. That's the other thing about this, is it switched sides since Cloud9 were unable to claim it, which means this Roche is a way better setup for Liquid right now. Straight on their outpost, this is where their vision is. They're just going to get this for free?
Seems like a Cloud9 just playing more of the map, despite having an offlane tier 1 tower, which is usually pretty okay for contesting a dire side Roshan.
They even found an amp damage rune in the river. They're going to smoke on. So they're not going to be here in time, but you could take this fight if you're Cloud9 with the power of this amp damage on no one right now.
What this Naga Siren does in this moment is going to be super important because they have the Aegis. Now it's just Liquid. Are they going to be able to get out? Or are they going to be able to fight this amp damage sniper who's already trying to challenge Mickey? BKB drinking buddies, pulls him back with the go for the sniper. He's going to be cold embrace. Can they blow him? They throw the Laguna Blade. It's not going to be enough. Mickey trying to get out. Winner's Curse. They finally shoot him down with the Doom on the Lina, but the Lina is still having plenty of right-click damage, and no one with his amp damage is fighting for his life. He shot down Insania before the song reset can come through. Yeah, the sniper falls, but still, Watson is pushed through the Doom, and now he's ready to go. A full spellcaster. Can he hit Nisha? Phase shift dodges one spell. He's going to pop out, get hit by the cogs. He has the orb. He orbed X, dodges face shift. No, it doesn't actually. He pulls it back in. Now he's stuck here, trying to get a blink away. Pushes back against. If they have the vision, Lina can maybe get him. Nisha, is he going to be able to survive? Hit by 33, stop. 33 comes in for the kill. Nisha comes back into play. They finish off the Lina. Nisha's still alive. He lives through it all, killing Cloud9 and chasing down TM as well.
This is why you do not want to give this guy puck. I don't care how good your laning phase is. He is going to dance on you in the mid game, and Nisha putting on a team fight clinic cleans up the backside of this fight that, honestly, it looked pretty damn good for Liquid at the start of that. They got the coil on the sniper, they got the Doom on the Lina. It's everything you want, but there was a decent amount of sustain coming out from the boat buff. The heals from Katayomi, he lands an okay curse that stalls it out. If you get Nisha there, you're very happy with the situation. Instead, he turns around and kills your Lina. Liquid salvage the second half of that. Get an Aegis. Still a tough fight for Mickey. We really saw this Razor suffer. He even got an okay link, but the Hurricane Pikes are deadly, and the amp damage room for no one definitely turned the tides.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Razor comes in, and Cloud9.
He just eats it, man.
He took every single spell. He took the amp damage, he took the Laguna Blade, he took all the attention of all these heroes, and couldn't survive through it in the end because of the Winner's Curse and the amp damage. Makes a huge difference. No one survived for so long, too. I mean, another fight where no one survives to the bitter end and outputs tons of damage. If it wasn't for the fact they have this agent, it wasn't for the fact that Nisha is able to just outplay Cloud9 in these last few moments.
And it was a very important call they gave Aegis to him, because if that Aegis is on the Razor, he's not really doing anything on that second light.
Yeah, that's true.
Nowhere near as close here.
33 with the two-man stomp at the end. Just picture perfect entrance there from 33 to enable Nisha.
Just no resources left. DM is out of mana. Not enough sustain in the tank. Cloud9 continuing to wonder, how can we actually win a team fight against this team? Does not feel like they've been able to secure a real team fight win in this entire series.
Now with the shard picked up for Insania, those song resets, as you said, when you could use it offensively if you want to, but if you choose to use it defensively, it's going to be a big boost of health for Liquid. Sustain.
Yeah, he's big on this Naga. He found the farm you want. He has the dreams to start.
What? It says, don't you block my Ancients. Laguna planting an illusion to clear it. I mean, he got it. He got the Ancients.
Coil down.
Coil down. But Fishman still stuck in a rough spot here, trying to pull him off the cliff. Fishman is going to be saved by a Lotus.
He is very tanky. You have to be careful how much you commit on some of the random supports in this game. They are deceptively hard to bring down. But we're seeing the BKBs come up for Cloud9. I think Liquid wanted to fight in this period before those two big ones came out. And at this point, no one's is done. And Watson, well, that's why he Lagooned that illusion. He's got to get the Ancient Camps going to finish his. It's going to be a big timing for Cloud9.
Yeah.
What they choose to do with it here.
I mean, if they choose not to fight during this period of time, they say we can't fight. You know, there's no harm in using Laguna Blade like that. Relatively low cooldown. See the player comparison here. No one trying to keep up with this puck. Certainly far more than him. But is still falling behind in net worth as Nisha, big winner of that last team fight, thanks to an Aegis.
The control that Cloud9 has is what both teams are going to try and play around. To me, that's the deciding factor. How does this curse land? Who does it land on? What does it set up? And if you're Liquid, can you get the initial coil jump? Like, can you find big targets with it, lock them at least a little bit, or force early BKB so then you can song during the BKB, potentially isolate a target, let Mickey go to work?
Would you ever consider Linken's because on Liquid because the curse is so important, right? Every curse is led into a Torrent, Boats, LSA, Laguna Blade. Like, there's a full combo of spells that follow up after that curse is used. Is it that important to consider Linken's block?
I mean, Mickey went for one. So you have a Linken's on the Razor. He has BKB as well. You got to remember, you can if you're BKB, this curse will not affect you. So if Liquid just commit them all at the same time, you can mitigate the damage that's done through this spell.
33 makes a jump on a Fishman here. Fishman's got plenty of backup though. No one's going to be the first one on scene. DM quick to follow him. 33 has to use the BKB to get out of here.
I think more players were both confused by that more than they understood what was going on.
Hey, there's the BKB for the Lina. So Cloud9 have just reached a big point. They may be down 4K net worth, but it doesn't feel like they are disadvantaged at all.
No, there's a lot of net worth on Kataomi here. He's going to continue to scale, and there's a reason they like this Wyvern. I mean, this is the 4th position of the tournament who has found the most farm on average in any given game. This is a hero that can use it really well in the late game, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at one of the best ags in terms of damage output and scaling as the game goes later and later. He does an absurd amount. It's a factor Liquid have to consider as this game progresses.
And he has enabled his initiation, knowing how important that curse is. A Blink Dagger and a Shadow Blade.
The Naga just runs straight into no one.
And he instantly songs to try and keep himself up. Will blink away, running to the rest of Cloud9 here. Gets Gleipnir, instantly trying to take that off. Hook shot, and does manage to get him inside the cog. So Insania does die for this. A smoke move. Yeah, a sacrifice from Insania. The rest of Liquid will be able to get out.
So what can Cloud9 get off this 40 seconds with no Naga on the map? Fishman goes bottom, looking for Bounty Rune, maybe some setup. These setups have to be really fast if you want to catch this puck. Nisha already Octarine done, plus a gem on him. He's just controlling a lot of the map right now.
He's playing so bold too. Just he's constantly hitting that tier 2 tower. He's been caught assaulting those towers before though.
Only one death.
See if Kataomi can make it a second.
Yeah, the Shadow Blade is another tool to maybe set up and find this puck on the map or find him in the fight, right? If you just stay in the back, you're Shadow Bladed, Nisha doesn't see you, he goes in. If he gets stuck in the curse, that's the big target. You don't even need to land the curse on the puck. Just get him to hit somebody else.
Yeah.
And you can chain stun him out of that. That's where it goes back to, like, you want to find this Wyvern with the Doom.
Smoke's going to run into the Wyvern here. Kataomi. See how fast he reacts to this one with the Shadow Blade. He's got a Blink Dagger to be able to hop away over the plasma field. Oh, it was a close call. Mickey.
Another amp damage on no one, though. Ooh. This is a fight that I think Cloud9 would want to take right now.
Fishman's hunting for it, and he's already broken the link there. Mickey, he's not feeling good about this one. He wants to get out of here, but Fishman's already got him inside of his hook. A jump in from Nisha, trying to stall this one. See if he can get him out, but it got him. 33 jumps in, hits the Doom onto Sniper, but he doesn't care. Mickey tries to blink after him. Either way, none of it's good. Liquid have failed their initiation or their counter jump to be able to get Mickey out of there, but I guess it works. Mickey does manage to walk away from the fight. Cloud9 say, okay, that's good enough.
Nisha is right on the edge, man. If any of these stuns land, he will get bursted. But Cloud9 cannot catch this puck right now, and even with an amp damage rune.
They're gonna try! Got him on the curse! It's a short curse, but they hit the LSA, and full wombo combo will bring him down, finally! They get Nisha for the second time.
And that was the gem as well. Huge pickup for Cloud9. I mentioned at the start of this game, you only need 2 or 3 kills on this puck to feel a lot better about your situation. That is the second one.
And look at Cloud9. Full of vim and vigor, straight to the high ground off of a single pickup. They say that's good enough, maybe more. A hook shot lands on the Mickey. They know he doesn't have BKB. This is a perfect catch for Cloud9. A second core dive from Liquid, and back to the high ground assault. Wait, no one's gonna back up here as the illusions were cutting the waves.
You still know Doom's on cooldown though. It's coming up in 10 seconds, so Watson, he wants to push high ground, wave or not. He's gonna send a message, hit some backdoor. And the biggest item picked up perhaps in this game for Cloud9, outside of those BKBs, a Hex for DM on this Kunkka. You will absolutely have the lockdown threat for this puck right now. Cloud9 feeling that this game, perhaps in their hands. I mean, it's not a huge net worth lead, but...
Look at Noah, he's assaulting the tier 4s. 50 seconds, they want to force buybacks.
There is a buyback available on the Razor. There is buyback available for the puck. This is a very bold move. Very confident move.
Cloud9, will their bold move pay off here? Watson, he's going to be the one jumped on initially by 33. No buyback still. 10 more seconds. 33, are you going to doom or are you going to sleep? Sleep from Insania on 4. They buy back on Mickey, trying to get him in position with Nisha about to come up. He's going to TP into this fight. Mickey, he's going to go for the Watson Lena. See if he can keep him. He's got him still in range. Smuthy in prison. What an embrace grab from Winter Wyvern. They grabbed so many heroes. Now Cloud9 on full retreat. Still, it's Watson who managed to get a Wisdom Rune before he goes down to the Doom. A buyback immediately used as Liquid are still trying to make this worth it for them. They may have killed Watson, but they need a lot more. A Scythe and a TP away from DM gets one of their cores out, but 2 of them have fallen for Cloud9.
Triple buyback for Liquid. They end up committing the Razor buyback as well. Very expensive high ground hold. So much damage from no one, just sitting up there fighting to his last breath. And an absolutely sick curse by Katayomi on the backside that ends up catching the puck blinking in. An extremely bold move from Cloud9 to just push Throne like that, but it makes sense with how long Mickey's respawn timer was and how fast that went. You got some big buybacks out here. Effectively won another fight.
The downside, they won't have the super creeps, which they obviously could have taken that mid lane of barracks, but the upside, a near exposed Throne, buybacks on cooldown, and they're going to be able to hold on to their own buybacks. Another downside, though, they did it during Roshan's spawn time. So this gives Liquid a free Rosh. This
is the big downside here. You might have expended buybacks if you're Liquid, but if you can put an Aegis straight back into your pocket, you're not too sad.
Knowing that Roshan goes the way of Liquid, do you feel like that was worth it for Cloud9? Was it the right decision?
It's very hard to say. I think it's very close, but I think you would rather have this Roshan than the Razor buyback plus the supports here.
Okay.
Aegis is very strong versus the Doom. Like, that's the biggest factor here. I think the Aegis is nice for Liquid, but if anything, they want to take it away so the fight opens up more for the Razor and the Doom to just commit in and get the kills when they can get them.
Yeah.
They're going to give the Aegis to Mickey here, reward his buyback usage. But big item pickups across the board. Like, you got the Refresher done for 33 now, so you have double Doom to play around, which might make it easier to commit a Doom on the first target you see. We saw how hard that jump was there, though, with the Lotus Orbs and what 33 was worried about.
Yeah.
It's a very awkward initiation for him.
They may have all the blink daggers in the world. They may be able to get on top of Cloud9, but Cloud9, they do have certain responses, like the Lotuses, like Kataomi's positioning, and whether or not he hits that Winter's Curse. He's got a Hurricane Pike now, so he can maybe blink in and break Lincolns and still get a curse off.
I mean, he's so strong. This Wyvern is becoming a big problem for Liquid. If he gets to level 20 with the extra slow plus an Ags, he's another carry in this game.
33 got the Doom off onto DM, but if he gets back to his base, it's perfectly fine. They'll lose Fishman for it, but a BKB and a Doom use. Boxy's still hunting for more. Shot back there by no one.
Doom's worn out. Liquid not getting exactly what they wanted out of there. Use the Refresher on the Doom as well to just start pushing down that cooldown. Cloud9, they will sacrifice Fishman as they have time and time again. And retreat. Wearing out this Aegis period. 3.5 minutes left. Your high ground is awful, though, if you're Liquid, right?
Oh, yeah. And
nobody to really hit it. You just want to win the fight. Like, that's how you win this game. You crush Cloud9's lives.
oh, Kataomi. He is walking into a Sentry. Nisha, he spotted him. Oh, he didn't get the dust, didn't get the coil. Kataomi's faster than him. He forced that down to low ground. He's out. There's no coil to stop him. Great reaction from the support of Cloud9.
That was so risky.
Cloud9 they're not fearful at all, man. TI main stage, making plays, going straight for throne, not hitting barracks. Kataomi out on the base against an Aegis with some heroes down like that.
Yeah, he has no buyback, by the way. Like, he bought out for that.
Oh my God.
So you're making that play, you're making that scouting with no buyback on one of the more important heroes here. Like, he goes down, that opens up the high ground. That is a huge snag for Liquid, but we are seeing this game, it's still technically in Cloud9's hands. Feels like they figured out a way to break the team fight hold Liquid's had on this series. Gain some momentum for themselves, and they are scaling, man. That's the biggest factor here. I think this Puck is an insane hero in the late game for Liquid, but you have to worry a little bit for the Razor and the Doom finding their mark in the fights first. What's effectively going to be a triple ranged carry lineup between the Wyvern, the Lina, and the Sniper. They're all just going to sit there and start hitting you.
More Lincolns in this game. Spell casting in these team fights is going to get weird. So many Lincolns. Lotus and a Lincoln's coming in for Cloud9 as Watson's trying to protect himself. With the Blink Daggers, I feel like you almost can't stop the initiation from Liquid. That Razor's probably going to get out on top of you. He's probably going to try and link you like he did in that last team fight. Cloud9 managed to get this Tormentor right before Liquid cuts across. They are running out of time here. 2 minutes left on the Aegis, and I feel like they haven't done too much of it.
That's the question. What can you do with it? You can't just break high ground naturally. You need the fight.
Maybe thinking to get a pick off, but they still are not finding it. Cloud9 have been quick enough. They stay one step ahead of Liquid. They'll get this tier 2. But it is a paltry reward for this 5-minute Aegis timing.
You get a refresher for your Razor, huge item for Mickey in this game. You can play around double BKB, double Lincolns now. Gives them a lot more capability to take a longer fight. And of course, you're pushing towards some level 25 talents in this game as well. A lot of level 24 heroes right now. The only level 25 is Nisha on that Puck. Does have the debuff immunity piercing Dream Coil. Could be a huge deal. Again, if you can find the coil on the Sniper, on the Lina, suddenly that goes a way longer way than it did before.
Yeah, you combine that with the Aghanim Scepter as well. He's trying to build up level 20.
He is scaling, man. He is scaling. He's going to be the real big damage factor for Liquid in these late games. You need to catch this Puck and Curse, and you probably can't throw it on him unless you have a very clutch Lincoln's break.
Kataomi trying to go shove out these waves. Will not be caught in the process. Once again, Cloud9 just 1 or 2 seconds away from getting caught.
That's your Aegis period. 30 seconds, it's out. Cloud9 can push out of their base and take another aggressive fight if they want to. And in fact, they are already smoked up in preparation for this expiration. Mickey farming aggressively. 10 seconds left on this Aegis.
Cloud9 looking to make a move around this Aegis expiration. They also want to play around Vision. Got a high ground ward here. And a tier 2 tower right next to it. Be a great area for Cloud9 to be able to take a fight. Liquid are not going to trespass onto that area.
Gotta get these lanes out. Your Cloud9, Liquid continuing to farm up the map. Push towards those level 25s. In fact, they got the Razors. It's another big talent in this game. Getting the attack speed with Steel. Very nice on these ranged carries. And now that you have Refresher, potentially double Link, double BKB, it is a lot of damage gone out of your lineup, and you can connect the Razor in the team fight. Foxy Blink could also be pretty influential. You saw some decent snowball saves versus a lot of the Kunkka spells, Wyvern spells, LSA.
45-minute game, 17-17, dead even net worth. But it could all come apart off of just 1 or 2 team fights. Cloud9 have smoked up and looked for it, but Liquid, they seem to know something's going on with some of their deep vision and the bottom wave pushing in. Now back behind their towers, knowing the smokes much harder to find purchase against those objectives. Doom applies mute. It's up, as is the shard for Boxy now.
These Dooms are brutal, but can you land them?
Yeah.
That is the big question. There's a lot of interrupt. There's a Lincoln's now on the Lina. There's a Lincoln's being built for no one. Lotus Orb and Hex on DM. So if you go in with this Doom, you don't pre-BKB. You risk getting instant Hexed. So you have to throw them fast, but you don't have a lot of time to throw them out through these Lincoln Spheres. And currently 33 is playing with War Stomp, so he cannot break these Lincoln Spheres on his own. Gonna be a big problem for him.
Yeah, what does Liquid do about that? Feels like he's got to change neutral capabilities.
Yeah, they have no Lincoln's breaking capability in this lineup. Basically zero.
Yeah, I think with the Winner's Curse problem that they're featuring, you don't want to risk anybody else breaking that Lincoln's for you, because then you're just naturally grouping up.
Exactly.
46-minute power rune. Any little advantage you can get. Cloud9 are searching for it. Mickey finds an Invis rune instead. Probably not making much use of that. Aegis spawn time. It's gonna be coming up here pretty soon.
Okay, running in Invis.
Nisha
looking for
not
something.
afraid of the side device. Boxy's gonna go for it. He managed to hit a snowball onto the Lotus. That's gonna pull him out of here. Oh no, 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 no. DM in some trouble. Fishman, oh, they got the hook shot onto Nisha. They didn't have the follow-up though. They got the Doom out onto DM. Maybe not the best target. They threw a coil on after that. The second Doom onto the sniper with the link onto him. That'll definitely do it. Watson's gonna have to carry this one. No one's gonna buy back. They're losing some of their supports. Can no one and Watson push through this second part of the fight? Liquid seeing these buybacks and the TPs coming in are trying to retreat now, but DM is trying to catch them. We've got a slow from Kataomi, slowing down 33. But DM, he wasn't able to get the X to grab anybody. Now, those buybacks, he didn't reward them at all. They throw out an assassination. Wait a minute, the Doom's caught up on the high ground. Insane, he has to use the song to try and save him here. Watson, he runs forward with his BKB, hits the Gleipnir, tries to catch her after Drink Buddy's gonna pull him back. Meanwhile, the hook shot onto Insania, manages to get off the mirror images. Nisha's gonna jump away from Cloud9. They're pulling him back, but the curse, maybe it holds him in place long enough. The LSA, it does, chaining the stun. Mickey's tanky though, down to half HP. Watson might be able to finish him off. He does manage to get that much, but the Anisha, he is still on top of them. Orb after orb, cold breeze, healing up Watson as long as possible. Here comes the bow, lands on a 2. Liquid, they're backing away, but they are gonna have casualties. Mickey's in for a second line. Immediately pushed back by no one with the coil. Lands on him, trying to finish up the sniper. Managed to get a dieback. How many diebacks can they get out of Cloud9? It all comes down to this. Can they get Watson? They've got him. Watson dead. DM of the run. Another dieback coming in for Cloud9. Liquid. One fight is all it takes.
Buybacks committed, but they get what they were looking for. Running down this Lina at the end of the fight. A huge gold swing in this game. So much experience for Liquid as once more they just kill everybody on Cloud9. Buybacks are not. That curse was not good enough in that fight. And all of that started with no one going down to the first Doom. Now out for 80, no buyback. No buyback on this Kunkka. 95 seconds. Liquid have everybody.
And now it's Liquid's opportunity to return the favor to Cloud9. Are they going to hit tier 3s and go straight for throne during these diebacks, or are they going to play it conservative? Nope, the call has been made. Time to hit tier 4s.
You need a big curse here. You need to get multiple heroes and set the fight up for Watson to deal the damage.
33 jumps in, immediately throws out the Doom on Kataomi. Doesn't find too much past that. Kataomi's going to be playing a bit of a timeout here while the tier 4s are going to start falling. They're going to have to play this 3 versus 5.
No clip here anymore. Is your Wyvern even up in time to make this play?
Is it even capable for Watson to be able to stop any of this? Does he even have the damage to kill these heroes fast enough? Their throne is under assault. He lost another hero. 2 versus 5 now to hit the stop. Got the Doom. No way. Lincoln's able to block it, but it doesn't matter. The throne is exposed, and Liquid will take the 2-0.
What an impressive win from Liquid. That game looked like it was going to go later and later. Roshan was potentially going to be an issue. The ranged carries for their cores were potentially going to be an issue. They just find a way in the team fights. There's no way about it. It was not a draft advantage. It's not a strategy advantage. You're just getting outplayed. Nisha Boxy are just straight out playing you at every turn in these fights, and they know it. This is a team. The meta suits them right now. They have a lot of momentum in this tournament, and they just push themselves to the top 3.
They hype up Nisha, say he's the best player in the world. They give him the puck, and he delivers massive damage output in all of these fights, rarely getting caught, and the rest of Team Liquid follow suit. Team that has been around for quite some time gets another podium finish, and that experience allows them to be able to take Cloud9 down in a second game that was quite close between the two. Quite a performance from Team Liquid here on the main stage. Didn't think they had it in them in that second game. It felt like Cloud9, we saw the predictions there. We saw the game was favoring Cloud9 for a large share of the game. They had their certain leads. They were able to get certain things out of Liquid. They go for the throne, an idea that they'll look back on and perhaps regret.
Losing that Roshan cost them so much control over that game. Definitely a decision. You watch that replay 1,000 times, you will never find the right answer, but it did not work for them there.
Liquid pull off the 2-0, and it's time to head to on stage where we've got Insania for a winner's interview.
That's right, Cap. I'm here with Insania. Listen to that crowd. I mean, was that fun? Was that stressful? How was it in that booth?
It's very fun. Playing in front of a crowd like this is always the best feeling in the world. I think many of us... Yeah, I mean, it's a big reason why we enjoy playing so much. It's these crowds and being able to do this. Unfortunately, this last game was a bit resident sleeper. I blame my drafters for that, so I'm sorry about that, but hopefully next game will be more exciting.
I hope so. I mean, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it, to be honest. I think a lot of people here did as well. You mentioned the drafting, though. You know, what's it been like for you as a position 5 to have to move around a little bit? Because it's been a role which has changed a lot. Now you're having to learn this Naga Siren, you know, these Tinkers. What's that like for you as position 5?
I don't really enjoy it. I miss playing like Lich and stuff. I feel like having like 5 carry heroes every single draft is just kind of odd. And I was like just hitting creeps this game. I think I had like 300 CS. I'm literally AFK. I want to fight more, you know, like give me more active heroes.
All right, well, maybe we get to see that a little bit more in the future. We'll see. There was some really clutch moments during these games. I think in game 1, we had 33 coming to the Sand King. We had Nisha's performance in game number 2. What's the communication like between you guys in those moments?
Then maybe they can play it on stream, but I feel like it's usually just let Nisha cook, let Neta cook. You just let them do their thing.
All right, and of course, there is another series to come. There's Tundra versus Gaming. What do you think is going to happen in that series?
I really hope Tundra crushes Gaming, and that would be great.
I think we all know why it's Insania. Thank you very, very much. Well done. Crowd, one more time for Insania and Liquid as they make top 3 at the International, and we will send it back to the panel.
Thank you, Nomad and Insania there. I mean, there's a lot of Liquid fans in the crowd, and they're very happy with that 2-0 for them. Game 2, though, definitely not as easy. And he's like, you just let Nisha cook, and you really had to for that one, Fly, because Nisha wasn't doing so great from the laning phase.
Yeah, that was a very good sniper last pick, right? When you get sniper versus puck, that is one of the hardest matchups in Dota. You know, my mid laner definitely complains about that one. But I think the interesting thing that happened was that the sniper actually rotated pretty early. He would move to the side lanes, and Nisha actually had pretty good net worth in that game, all things considered, after the first 5 minutes. So Nisha did a great job recovering.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these replays from this game number 2. The team fights is a big question mark for me, Winter, because it didn't feel as clean as we normally see from Liquid. Cloud9 doing really great to make it as disruptive as possible, but it also wasn't always going in their favor either.
Yeah, I think in the early fights, they did a really good job on Cloud9 to set up a couple of very key kills on the puck. We were mentioning puck being like a huge problem in the fights, but they were able to use the curse into the Lina stun to catch him like once or twice. I think this is one of the few examples why this puck hero, when you pick it in the right game and you don't have the right tools to deal with him, she just kills everyone in the team fight. If the team fight is not over, it's a long fight, the puck is going to win you the fight.
And what do you think about Fear, where we did see Cloud9 take control of this game, push that high ground, but decided to rush for the tier 4s rather than being able to take that mid lane racks.
Yeah, I don't know why Insania said this is a resident sleeper game. It was very exciting.
Okay,
moments
maybe
like
after
those.
the last Roche, it was a little resident sleeper.
Perhaps, but like even then, there's like a lot of back and forth fights, like a lot of judgment calls you have to do for both teams. And C9, unfortunately, they feel like 2 heroes are dead. They don't know necessarily if there's buyback or not. The buybacks come in, you go for the throne. Unfortunately, that was like the moment in where you capitalized, but it kind of bit you back, and then now you're in a situation where you gave up Roche, you're sitting in your base, and they feel like they couldn't leave their base after that. So yeah, they're going to go back and look at that one and decide if that was the right call or not.
I mean, another judgment call is this fight that we're seeing play out right now. There were a lot of buybacks from both sides here. Cloud9 mostly in the early part where they buy back on 2 of their cores. Was this a decision that now that we have the hindsight fly, we're like, oh, you probably should have waited it out, just given that fight and looked towards taking something on the high ground instead?
It's always a tough decision in the moment because there's a fight breaking out, there's spells being used, and you're thinking to yourself, if I buy back, the spell's been used, I'm going to be able to come in and clean up. And something we actually talk about in our team is that you should at least give it, 2 to 3 seconds before you buy back to make a good judgment call. But as soon as one person starts doing it, you kind of have to follow
through. It's a chain
Yeah,
reaction.
you have to, because if you don't, then that person bought back for nothing, and it's going to be a very bad situation. So you have to follow through with that first person who did it, and in this case, it was not a good one.
Yeah, well, like we said, we have that hindsight. We can take it a little bit slow. We don't feel the high pressure of that. But Liquid, they didn't feel the pressure either. It was a big question mark when we saw 33 join this roster at the start of the year for Liquid. It wasn't off to a great start for them, but now they've secured top 3 at TI 13. And Fear, it's a roster that's really coming together. It feels like it's not just this patch that's working in favor for them. A lot has changed within the team to allow for this adjustment and be able to hit a lot of different play styles.
Yeah, I mean, Team Liquid is a team that has always looked really good. The only issue is when they meet GamingFlashar in the grand finals, to be honest with you. So Insania is hoping for that not to happen again. But you never know. It's a different time. It's a different TI. Maybe if they do meet, this could be the best I've seen Liquid play in a long time. So even against Glame, and I'm a little more optimistic.
Yeah, and then what about the side of Cloud9? Because they're not eliminated by any means. They're going down to that lower bracket, though. So they're still in that top 6 right now, Winter, but they're going to have to go up against Falcons tomorrow.
I feel like they have a lot to take away in this series. And they have to try to make some adjustments. I think in terms of I think the draft, like finding a balance between drafting heroes that your team is really good and trying to counter their opponents, and try to just find a balance between that. I think overall today, in the second game especially, they showed that they could come back after a rough first game, find some solutions, and try to play another game. And they almost had a really good chance to win the game, but unfortunately, Liquid just out-executed them in a couple of really, really good moments.
It does come down to that. Fear, I heard that there's a specific moment in the game that you were hoping to have a look at.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to highlight a little bit the Wyvern pick and the item build that he went. Like, this was the item he just picked up, the Shadow Blade you'll see in his inventory. Before that fight, when they went for the throne, they were able to catch the puck, and that was very critical for them, like potentially getting in that position. So a nice honorable mention of itemization to really help them kind of deal with Nisha in a way. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Puck does have a lot of... if you don't have enough silences or stuns, you can get away with it, but they definitely helped him with that Shadow Blade.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing being how timing dependent it was for Cloud9 as well, Fly. I mean, it just felt like things were down to the millisecond.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was all like a chain reaction of things, like, catching the puck and then catching this Razor on top and potentially being able to close out the game. But I did feel like this game was a bit of a ticking time bomb when you have this puck who just is scaling like crazy. You have this Doom that we see on screen, Doombringer late game. It's just too much at some point. That at the very end, I felt like it was just easier for Liquid to execute with those types of heroes, as opposed to having a sniper Lina who have to stay in the back and be in the perfect position. But there's so many ways to get on top of those heroes.
It feels like a tough question to answer what I'm about to say, but what about 33's Doom works, whether in this game or in the majority of games, that isn't working for other teams or other people picking Doom?
I mean, again, we see that this Doom was picked a bit later. Right, it was not a first pick Doom, so he had some purpose that he was happy with. I think it was the Kunkka, right? Like, he knows his purpose in the game when he picks it. Like, I'm gonna find this guy at least in the early game, I'm gonna get a good Doom target, and I'm gonna be able to play my game. On top of that, this guy's also a Doom specialist. This guy's been winning on this hero forever. He always finds the right item builds to go because Doom is a very versatile hero, and 33's brain is massive, so he can always figure out the right build. So I think this was just another showcase.
Awesome. Well, Fly, it's been fantastic to have you on the panel. Congratulations to Liquid as well, getting a 2-0 here, but we've got to keep this day going. We do still have our fourth and final series to come up, and before we get into it, let's hear some extra words from the Tundra players.
The best moment of this international, I think, was beating Falcons 2-0. I think the second game was very exciting.
We won them by just, I don't know, like, over skill.
We know everyone, like, each other so good. Like, we even screamed in today, yesterday, 2 days ago, 5 days ago. We scream them every day. But we just wanna show the perfect Dota, you know? That's why the game like super hard for us, for them also, because we know each other and game kinda 50-50. And like one moment can change everything. I think this is like really good for the Dota.
Our next series is going to be against GG, so I'm looking forward to play against them. I think we're going to win this one.
I think Gaming Gladiators, like, they know how to punish the enemy team. Like, they close them up super well, and they have a good flex heroes between Durachio and Ace, and their subs are such a beasts. But we have something special also. We have Topias, and he gonna show everyone who gonna win 30i.
I don't really have any like expectations really going into it. I think we just have to, play our game. Don't get stressed or nervous about their play style. Like, they play fast, they want to end the games early, and I think we just have to kind of just be prepared for that and understand our own timings.
The strength of Team Thunder is this TI. I'll say it's just our hero pool plus our, like, mental position. Like, we got no pressure at all. We just playing our game. We just playing for fun, and I think we're playing really good. I think like map movement, like everything's really good.
The strongest team at this TI, I would say, are still Gladiators and Liquid. They are the teams to beat, basically. I think they have a good idea of the meta and they play very well as a team, so they're gonna be very strong.
We feel good. We want to play on stage for sure. A long time I'm not playing stage. From my perspective, I'm excited.
Playing in front of a crowd is always a lot of fun. I haven't played in front of a TI crowd since TI 9, so I hope we're gonna do well.
I think Team Thunder at this TI could win this TI for sure, because we already got, TI winner and double TI winner in this roster, so I don't know, for sure we got a lot of things, a lot of strats, a lot of momentum to win this tournament.
I just love these guys, love the crown, everything. I just wanna win Dota and just play Dota, that's it. I hope we can win the international, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows, but these players, they can be one step closer to securing that victory for themselves here. They've already secured themselves top 6, but this best of 3 matters if they want to secure themselves top 3. We're going to have Tundra up against Gaming Gladiators. We also have Jenkins joining us again, going to give us some valuable insight about Tundra. I mean, we had a little bit extra from them just then, but in your eyes, Jenkins, what makes this roster or this lineup from Tundra look so scary and be right now in that upper bracket?
I mean, Ramsey said it. I think Thompson is any team that he's on. He's going to be one of the players that makes it very special. He plays extremely weird heroes on the mid lane. I think that some of the new mid laners also, people talk about Nisha being the best mid. There's Makoto for a while was thrown in there. Quinn. Everybody talks about the new guys, and we did just see from Nisha why he's on that list. Nobody talks about Thompson. Why is that? He gets forgotten about until some new build comes out, and then it's like, oh, Thompson was the first guy that came up with this thing. He was the Nature's Prophet mid originator, using the courier on the Ancients to scout those out and get extra damage on the ult. This guy invents Dota.
Yeah, and I mean, he has 2 TIs for a reason. He's always bringing something fresh to the mid lane there. He will be going up against Quinn, someone else that you just threw into that argument there of best. But best is very subjective here. There's a lot of different criteria that can fall into that. You can weight it very differently as to what you think is the best. And do you have one that you favor slightly more than the other, or is it going to be a very even matchup between the two?
That one really depends, because like the mid lane isn't one-on-one anymore. Like some support can come over at 2 minutes, take your water rune, and then all of a sudden you just lose the matchup, right? And that is very difficult to say. So between the two of them, I would say Quinn is more stable, where Thompson is a bit more explosive, right? So I would always take stability over explosive, because you have your highs, you have your lows, and yeah, Quinn has proven tournament after tournament that he is a mid laner that rarely has a bad game.
I do feel like this meta kind of favors Thompson more, because Monkey King and Invoker, those are the mid heroes that are
But
seemingly...
Thompson hasn't played Monkey King, and Quinn has.
Yeah,
so that's interesting.
But he should be able to play it if they want to, like this meta, I think in theory kind of suits Thompson a lot more than Quinn. I agree that Quinn is more stable, but sometimes you want someone that can win you the games that you cannot win, and maybe if you have a stable player, he's not going to do as well as the player willing to go make the crazy moves, and Thompson, I feel like he's one of those players that could maybe win you the games that seemingly look like a dead end.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking to those players in that break day between playoffs and here at the main event, they gave us the insight that they think Liquid, Gaming, they're the two that they're most afraid of, or at least they're the toughest opponents. I shouldn't say most afraid of, but the toughest opponents, especially with how quick Gaming can close out games. I mean, they have one of the shortest average game times here, and I also think the Tundra are up there with able to close games out, to be able to snowball. So what are we expecting when these two teams that love to snowball, love to focus on lanes, finally meet and clash head to head?
I think we're going to see something kind of similar to the previous series, where there's a lot of heroes converging on a single lane. And I know I've said this a few times in the last week, but I think that's because we are in a 5-manning aura patch. But
the 7-minute wisdom rune, 5v5, that's
you
what you're going
get a
towards?
7-minute wisdom rune, 5v5. It looks like a Herald pub, but it's because it's the graph where people get so good that it just goes back down to like the basic level stuff of just bring more people and then you win the fight. And because that fight's the only thing that's important that's happening, then you win the game. And then at that point, it's about execution. It kind of goes back up to the top of the bell curve, but then it goes back down again.
Well, look, we can speculate a little bit more, but I want to get this series going. I want to welcome our teams to the stage, and we're going to bring our very first team out, Team Tundra. Players are walking out on stage right now may not be the 5 that originally qualified, but right now with the stand-in of Saksa, they are doing fantastic. They're on that upper bracket run. Right now, though, they have to see if they can continue in the upper bracket as we bring on out their opponents. Dominated all of 2023. They just fell short at TI12, coming second place, but right now they want to make a name for themselves. They want to make it at least to top 3 minimum. See if they are able to do it here at TI13, but an upper bracket, best of 3, their opponents being in Tundra. We'll see if it's possible. We'll see what they have prepared for themselves in fear. Seeing these two teams now out on stage, the banter between them, what can we really expect when it comes on down to the nitty-gritty?
I mean, you can expect GamingFlashar, they're in their comfort zone right now. They're used to being on the big stage for 2 years in a row now, and we heard from Ramses himself, it's been a while since he's been on the stage here. So GamingFlashar, they're in their comfort zone. This is a team that likes to play extremely fast, But Tundra is aware of that. Even Tops in the interview says, we know they're going to play fast. We just have to be prepared for it. So a lot of eyes on me are going to be like, what has Tundra prepared for this Gaming Gladiators early game?
Yep. That is something that hopefully we'll get an answer to when the game #1 draft does begin. But before that, these guys are settling on into their seats. Gaming Gladiators, I feel like the pressure isn't really there the same as it was last year winter, and I think that's a lot to their advantage. But both of these teams almost have that to their advantage, that not a lot of people were expecting them with the year that they've had to be in that upper bracket, to be secured top 6.
Yeah, expectations can be toxic, some may say, and having no expectations or low expectations can be a very good thing for a team, like for the players itself. The important thing is you can able to focus on the game. You don't want to really think about other stuff that's happening outside of the game, what the fans are saying, what the talents are saying, what everyone else is saying. You just want to go in the game, understand your role, think about what you need to do in the game, and just focus on that. You have to block everything out.
Yeah, I agree. They've had a very decent year for gaming. I mean, they won Riyadh. I'm sure they're very happy with that. Last year's TI, I assume at the start of the year, probably weighed on them a little bit, how close they were. But this time around, there's a different aura about this team. And I do agree that this is the sort of team that I feel like they can mentally recover if they did get knocked down to a lower bracket, or if they did lose game 1 and then go into game 2. They can have that talk. I don't know if it's CY or just because they've been a team for so long with the exact same 5 players, but they're incredibly resilient, and that is something Tundra's going to have to deal with in this series.
Both of these teams, they have one thing in common right now at the tournament. They're very good at controlling vision. Like, both of these teams have a very good amount of wards killed for their opponents, and also their own wards, their own vision game. They are not as easy dewarded compared to other teams, So that says a lot about teams that are doing really well. The vision game is going to be particularly very important. For Whitemon, he's also one of the few players that in some of their games places a very high amount of wards, and I think the vision is going to be very, very crucial in this matchup when it comes down to who can play faster,
So the vision is something that we're going to focus on when we get into that game. But what about beforehand? What about draft, Jenkins? How diverse are these two? And is there a lot of overlapping that we're kind of worried about? How meta do these two like to fall in line with as well?
There's a good amount of overlap. I know Winter was saying that, Quinn is not necessarily the Monkey King mid player that Topson has been in the past, but Topson actually hasn't played Monkey King mid in this tournament yet. And Quinn has. It's his second most played hero. So there's some of these heroes where the overlap is not necessarily in what was picked for them in this tournament, but what they're historically comfortable with, which I think is quite interesting. Like, being good at a hero, but being like, I have enough of a read on this hero that I don't think it's good in this game.
Well, here's a graphic to visualize just exactly what is overlapping between them and what is very unique to the sides as well. I mean, looking at that Sniper and the Mirana, the Sniper slightly favoring Gaming Gladiators there, Mirana slightly favoring Tundra. They have a very impressive win rate on this Mirana, by the way. And so now I wonder how much of that makes it into that first phase. Do we see another game where you're letting through this meta like an Omni or a Naga support, and you have those answers to it? Because what is very unique on the side of Tundra was that last pick Night Stalker that they did get a win on against Falcons, which led them to being in that secured top 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have some niche picks for Tundra, but there's some heroes that Tundra love playing, and you don't really play on gaming. Mars is a good example of that. Ramsey's really good at it, but at the same time, Ace, he won't play the hero. So those are heroes that you can be like your throwaway bands to just make sure they don't have that. I think there's going to be a big difference in the offlaners in this series. You do have like Ace, who loves these Brood Mothers, these lone druids that nobody else is playing, where you do have Ramses. This is a player that wants to play these Blink Initiators, or be some type of form of like initiation for the team, and this is when Tundra looks the best. We talked about it all through the road to the International. Ramses must initiate for this team for them to look at top form. Meanwhile, Ace, he doesn't really have that pressure on him. He can sit back and farm a little bit more if he really needs to. Not that he can't initiate, but they really like to play different styles of Dota.
Yeah, we've seen other teams try to make the Brood offlane work, and it just doesn't. It seems like this is only something that either Ace can execute, or Gaiman knows how to play around the Brood offlane really well, which I think, given that Duraccio has this history of being an incredibly aggressive carry, even on patches when aggression wasn't the name of the game, which, by the way, it is. This is a great patch for him, which is why I think Gaiman is very successful in this tournament. Another thing that I think is interesting is Pure playing Morphling as his most played hero.
Yeah.
And you don't see Dyrachyo playing Morphling. In fact, I think in an interview they've said that if there's nothing left in the pool, then they'll pick Dyrachyo his Morphling. But he's one of those, there's always one point in the game he'll die at 1 HP and just get one shot. It's going to happen. So they don't want
most Morphling players?
That's
though, let's
most
be real.
Morphling players, but not Pure. And I do think Morph functions, it's a pretty nice counter if you can play around it to a lot of the current carry meta where you're getting an early game carry if you're good at it, but then also that late game scaling hero that counters the carry to carry matchup.
I'm actually glad that you actually brought that up because I feel like the difference, I've been always talking about support pairings, but I think in this particular instance, the offlaner, what your offlaner likes to do and likes to play, and pair it with what your carry likes to play. I think both those players have a lot of things that you do in the game together, and if your offlaner is like Ace, he tends to take more auras and he farms more, then you want to carry exactly like Dyrachyo because he's really, really aggressive. I think that is what makes it work. And on the other side, you look at Pure is more greedy, so he doesn't really play as much as Dyrachyo for the team. But on the other hand, he has Ramses that's always been playing Mars, so you can see the balance there between two teams that's very, very different.
And when Ramses does play the farming heroes, this does not look like the same Tundra. And they've clearly identified that too because they've changed their drafts with that in mind. Like they are valuing this Mars incredibly highly, and I think they should.
Well, looking at this hero pool just for Dyrachyo as well as Pure here, but mostly I want to talk on the Gaming Gladiator side. What a lot of people said was a key to their success last year and the shining moments throughout this year was Ace in that off lane. He was very stable, he was very consistent. If you shut him down, you were almost guaranteed to get a really good game against Gaming Gladiators. You're almost guaranteed to close it out. Is this the patch or playstyle, something different from gaming that doesn't adhere to that and we can't really push that narrative anymore?
I think it's the supports being so strong in the early game because when you think about offlaners being greedy, right? What enables them to be greedy? I think it's mostly the support. What the support does in the early game. Their supports are very, very aggressive. I think they get a lot of work done. And if you compare that to maybe the other team support, they do maybe 1 or 2% extra compared to the other team, and maybe that's all they need, to allow their offlaner to be this greedy. And it's not just a support, like I said, Dyrachyo is a very aggressive carry. So he comes to the fight early, he uses the gate, he comes over, he defends the offlaner tower, his towers and the stacks. And I think that's what you need to allow your offlaner to be greedy. Essentially, they have 2 carries in a way, or 1.5 carry, because their offlaner just basically is another carry.
So you've been kind of quiet. Do you want to share some of your thoughts about this Tundra and gaming lineup? Tundra with a very different roster having this stand-in right now, and how maybe that's also shaping and changing what they're able to do at TI here.
Yeah, I think they already ironed that out by now. They're already within the top 6, right? So, I mean, Sox is a great player. He has been on the stage many times before, winning TI, in fact. So.
Did you know the last time he was on a TI stage, he won it?
Well, there you have it.
Because he was not present last year.
That's true for Thompson as well.
No, because Thompson...
In front of a crowd.
He was in playoffs last year, which had a crowd in Seattle.
Well, that's not what he said.
I'm just saying.
But anyway, I'll
argue with Jenkins.
I trust the man. He said in an interview. Go ahead,
Pierre. Train back on the tracks. But I think right now, when you see a meta where not only Gaming and Liquid seem to be the teams to beat, it does come from the carry role. I really think that Dyrachyo, much like Mickey, are very fast tempo type of carry players, and it does favor them. Yeah. When those teams are doing poorly, it's because it's like some, Morphling patch or some Terrorblade hard carry patch where they don't shine as much. And I feel like you can hit a balance on this one. Like, it's not one way or the other. Sure, playing fast is important, but I feel like Pure is a hybrid in that regard. He can play really fast, but yet he can also play really slow, and that's why Tundra is doing really well. And I think for Thompson as well, as a mid laner, he isn't necessarily going to be that type of player that is going to run around and make space for you. He might. You don't really know what types of Thompson you're going to get. Is he going to do that, or is he going to sit back with Sniper and just farm up? That really is up to him, and I think that's the beauty of his role right now. He gets to choose, and I feel like Ramses doesn't get enough credit. I feel like he's enabling Thompson in a lot of ways, and even in the interview, he even said that, Thompson, he's going to carry. Clearly, he has a lot of respect for Thompson, and he is adapting his play style to make sure that Thompson has a good game.
I think that's fair. I think Thompson's the type of guy you just ask, hey man, what do you want to play? And then if he says he wants to play Sniper and farm, you trust him. If he asks for a Sniper and you need a mid that is going to be active, then you trust that he's going to somehow play the Sniper where he farms the Ags and shows up and actually fights. And he tends to do that. He'll even play like a farming hero mid, but then show up to stuff depending on the game, if it's a good game for the hero.
What about some non-meta Topson picks that we're either hoping to see for the crowd or hoping to see just for our entertainment?
That hasn't been picked yet.
No, he could have been picked maybe once, or not picked.
I don't think so far anything he picked has been non-meta.
Is Rubik mid non-meta right now?
Yeah, I would say
I'd
that.
consider
It's not
that,
meta.
What about Ricky?
The Ricky could be interesting. I mean, we've all heard the whisperings
Yes.
with this hero. We've heard that there's, you know, maybe the hero's doing a little bit too much damage in some instances, and people are not going for the defusal. They're going for the Ags rush and going for the facet and kind of farming, and then going for the eventual defusal, playing the hero in a way that's not exactly traditional. I saw people were spamming it in pubs prior to this tournament, including Topson. He may have been the first.
I want to see like the Topson though, where he does something so out of the box that you can't even comprehend what it might even be. You know what I mean? That would be
So
interesting.
you sit here, you sit in the draft, and you're baffled. You can't even like back
Exactly,
him up with
yeah.
numbers of why you think it could or should
Clockwork
work.
mid.
Okay.
It has to be some
Now
weird
he's just
item
throwing
combination
things out there.
that goes in tail with it, like some Veno mid with, you know, the facet.
Yeah, usually it's a full build. It's not just like a weird hero in a weird role. He also does a build that you don't understand that, and it's
Gotta be a complete package.
5 items in, it clicks.
Well, look, you guys are putting me on the edge of my seat as to what we could expect out of these two teams if there is going to be that Topson special pick for himself. But either way, we do have a draft, so let's see game number 1.
Tundra Esports versus Gaming Gladiators. Game 1.
Well, that's it. Game 1. We've got a lovely audience filling out our Royal Arena here in Copenhagen, Denmark, and we're going to see just what's happening. That Invoker getting a massive respect from Gaming Gladiators, taken out right off the bat. Tundra, though, focusing a little bit more on those supports that we have hopped on and on about over the last week and a half. That Naga and that Shadow Demon. No bar from Tundra at all.
I do want to say one thing about the Invoker. We saw
Say two.
in the first series of today, this got first phase banned as well. And I would imagine that it's probably because on the last day before the break, we saw some very successful Invokers. And I'm just guessing that this hero was in every single scrim within the break. And then also, you don't want to give this to Topson. Like, this is his most played hero in the tournament, and he looks extremely good on it.
Yeah, I'll add the second point for Nat there.
Okay.
The last series they won was versus Falcons 2-0, and they had an Invoker both games.
There you go.
And there was this one game as well, they actually picked Invoker blind, you know, because before the tournament I thought Invoker was a hero that you needed to still see your matchup and pick it, but they picked it blind and the game went really well. He didn't really suffer in the laning phase as much, so that kind of changed my opinion on Invoker. He's like a hero that I feel like you can just pick, and you don't really care about the matchup as much, and you're going to be doing a lot, like just running around the map. He's very similar to Monkey King in a way, I think. You're just getting your levels, and after that, you assist your side lanes very well. You ghost walk, you run around, you get kills, and it helps your whole team.
The game that you're talking about is the Heroic series, and the Invoker won the lane against TA.
Yeah.
I remember that, and we were like, okay, I guess this matchup is just not the same as it once was.
I will say one of my favorite things when we see teams come on stage or finally play again after a 4 or 5 day break is seeing what they either ban out due to what's in the meta, they ban out due to respect, which is that Invoker, or maybe something's happening in the back end of the scrims that we haven't seen. This Visage, maybe Tundra place it very high, and because they don't have that first pick, they don't want Gaming to be able to get their hands on it. So that one, the Visage, is it a respect? Is there something else going on for it? Either way, it does leave Gaming Gladiators to pick up the Marana.
I think Visage is very similar to like a Doom. I kind of like to categorize these two heroes together, because when you talk about playing fast, right, these two heroes creates goal out of nothing, out of thin air. So it kind of speeds the game up really quickly. And if you're Tundra, if you're thinking about maybe we do want to slow things down, we don't want Gaming to be playing at a very high pace. So those are probably the heroes that you consider banning. But definitely not, I didn't expect the Visage to be banned out.
Yeah, and I don't think Gaming's surprised about the Mars coming out here. Surely they have something planned for this one, but even if you plan for it, Mars is just one of those heroes that, if you're Tundra, it's just a staple. You pick it up, he gets the Blink Dagger, he runs around the map, he makes a space. This allows Topson to play literally anything he wants in the mid lane, and I think that's really important for heroes like Sand King and Mars and why Tundra like it so much. It allows Topson to have complete freedom to just dig deep as he wants to into his hero pool.
And he also doesn't really have any bad laning matchups right now, right, as Mars. I feel like he's always going to be able to do okay in the laning phase.
Yeah, as long as you lane with a ranged position 4, Mars will get something out of lane stage or potentially win it.
And you're often laning against ranged carries because that's all that is popular right now. The heroes that beat Mars in lane are Slark, Ursa, like any heroes that if they hit you, they gain some sort of stacking thing on you that will eventually kill you. Mars does not like playing into that. All of those heroes are bad.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't remember what Mars' Facet does as well. If you give him a good early game, he gets a couple bracers. His Facet is, if he's outnumbered, he has extra health regen, right? So it allows Soxa, not only if he wins his lane or does decent, to leave him alone and then go help mid lane, which is something he does a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to see what Gaimin has planned for this, because Mars is Ramsey's most picked hero. They've played 4 games of it. They've won every single one convincingly. The games where he's not on an initiator, like Mars, Tundra looks like a completely different team. So there has to be some answer. They're not just leaving this in.
And then going, oh my goodness, they picked Mars, I'm shocked.
No, this is definitely expected. If you are going to pick up some sort of Slark type hero, I do think you need a lot of other heroes to make it work.
I mean, one thing about Mars, I would say, is he doesn't build auras, right? So maybe you're thinking of trying to abuse that, and you get an offlaner, because gladiators mostly they build auras on their offlaner, so they can kind of use that to their advantage. We're going to get our auras a little bit faster, because usually with Mars, you pair with supports that will build the auras, and normally it just comes slower, you know? And
yeah,
you are going to have a window where your auras come a little bit faster, and maybe you can take advantage of that.
I could see that paired with maybe like an alchemist strategy, something where you build the auras, you have Alk who's going to have a, Mars doesn't necessarily dumpster lanes. He'll do fine in lanes, especially against these ranged heroes, but an Alk would farm just fine, and then you hit this timing with like Radiance, Blink, BKB, something like that, plus the auras that you're talking about, and maybe that's how they planned to, okay, well, that was unexpected.
I was actually going to mention that, but I didn't think they'd pick it now. I was going to say, the worst hero that Mars can play against is Lone Druid in the game, and that's something Ace typically will pick after he sees the carry matchup, because if you see your matchup, if you're playing against Faceless Void or something, what he did last time, you decimate it. I'm not sure if Dyrachyo is up for the challenge of playing a Lone Druid. I'm not sure if he plays that hero, hasn't played it yet, but that is something that is incredibly good versus the Mars. I was thinking they're going to pick like an Alchemist or something, and then later down the road pick this Lone Druid, and that could just be their type of style, right? You play really fast, you hit the timing, you can end the game. We typically don't see the Lone Druid picked up this early because there are some bad lane matchups. This hero particularly doesn't like to play against a lot of ranged carries, and this is a ranged carry type of meta.
Man, this is a death ball strategy coming out of
You already know.
This is going to be a very quick game if Gladiators manage to.
It's either going to be a quick game or a long game.
Chen versus Enchantress.
Yeah.
That's an age-old question. Which one of these heroes wins in this matchup?
Oh, do you have any?
I don't have the answer. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like in the past you would debate this and like, oh, you steal the creep, I take your creep, you take my creep. I feel like their interaction is very minimal now, because like Chen just gets so many creeps, or Inch can only have like one at a time, so you still one of Chen's creep, doesn't really matter. They don't really interact in the laning stage at all, so I personally think they just do different things. I feel like Inch is more of like a lane winner than Chen right now, whereas Chen is more of a timing hero.
He gets a mech,
you get your
you
mech,
push a tower.
You group up, and Inch isn't really good versus that playstyle.
Well, look, the Luna coming out for Tundra, a hero that has impressed time and time again throughout that playoffs. A lot of people putting it in their S, maybe even S+ tier category when it comes to carries. Is this still something that you're willing to run for Gaming Gladiators, the Lone Druid offlane that will now be lining up against what is expected to be a Luna Ench?
You'll probably be worried. I think it might actually be just Luna ET. ET is very good against Lone Druid in the lane. Because of the extra unit, you get more from your spirit, and you're very good at running Lone Druid down. I think Lone Druid's weakness is if he's up against a support that can close the distance, which ET has with the movement speed, and you kind of just bully him or kill him in the lane. And Luna with ET is a perfect pairing, because Luna from far range, she can use the Lucent Beam, and ET you can get a couple of extra right clicks onto the hero. So this is a very formidable lane against Lone Druid.
But the question is, does Dyrachyo play Lone Druid? I don't really know. And this doesn't answer anything either, because Dyrachyo plays Brood as well. Ace can play Brood. I'm very curious to see where the Lone Druid's going with this. I wasn't sure if the Brood would be good. I was thinking in my head, like, you know, DK carry or Alchemist carry against the ET sounds pretty good.
They've got a ban Earthshaker right now. I think that is an instant loss, yes. If they play into a Thompson Earthshaker, I do not think there's any winning this game with all of the creeps they have.
He needs to be like on a hero to defend towers and clear creeps.
Okay, I'm going to quickly ask the question though, before we talk more about bans and last picks, is would you rather your team play on heroes they're not as comfortable on, but in their lanes, or heroes they're comfortable on, but lanes they don't normally play?
Sorry, I got to interrupt you here. Dyrachyo has played 7 games of Lone Druid in his pubs in the past 8 days, 100% win rate. 100% win rate. So
yeah, he's
this is I mean, if I know Dyrachyo, whatever he plays in his pubs, you know he's going to play it on like competitive.
Yes.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
And he is 7-0 on this hero in pubs. Dyrachyo's playing this Lone Druid. It confused me at first. Like, yeah, Mars, it's really bad versus Lone Druid, but I don't see why Ace would pick it up. He doesn't see his lane yet. But it was a debate all along. He saw the Mars. Dyrachyo wanted to play that Lone Druid. It was an incredibly good lane and game matchup. Ace is confident enough that this Brood against the Luna plus ET is going to be good enough, and I'm going to trust him. And so far, every time Ace does pick this Brood, he does deliver. So this flex looking really strong right now for Gaming Gladiators.
Out of curiosity, which facet on Lone Druid is he going for? Is it the new one?
I would have to check that real quick.
Because there's 3. There's the one where you now have the 3 slots on the main guy, but you're gaining...
Oh, he's getting the one where you have 3 slots.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I have not seen that in competitive yet.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, maybe Dyrachyo doesn't want to micro the bear. With this build, you don't have to. You just buy all the items on your hero. You go for the Gleipnir and Harpoon and, like, treads on your hero.
Game's going to be over before you have too many items to micro.
It's kind of genius, actually.
That's exactly what they want. It's the pace they expected, and it's easier to execute. 2 things that they do love here. We're still looking at some of these last bans. Dazzle taken out from the side of Gaming Gladiators. Puck as well. They're going to look to take out another mid laner, but what exactly?
Catch. They need catch. They have very little catch right now.
Thompson.
I'm still going to die on this Earthshaker hill here. I feel like...
Okay, but Tundra are banning right now.
Yeah, I mean, Gaiman has to pick first here, so Quinn, he definitely needs to pick one of his Spirit-esque heroes, something that rotates on the map. Whenever you play the Broodmother, it's best to have a mid laner who can just pick up a rune, walk to the Brood's lane. Then all of a sudden, Brood just gets a bunch of spiders, and all of a sudden, Brood takes over the whole map. And I think the whole reason why that works is because your mid laner can make rotations there, but you are picking it blind. So he has to weigh his options here to make sure there's nothing.
He wants a melee hero, right? Because they are banning Dazzle, most likely.
Yeah, most of the spirits are like the melee guys outside the Storm Spirit, but I'm not sure if that's
Earth Spirit
he's looking at.
Void Spirit.
Ember, just because you didn't say it, I thought I'd throw that one down.
They don't really have to be spirits. They could be like a tiny. They could be Shaker themselves, right?
I was thinking about that. Leave the Shaker in and take it for Quinn.
Yeah.
All you're thinking about Jenkins is Earthshaker.
I just think that they're thinking about it.
Okay, you got to give more.
Because if they don't want to pick it, they kind of have to ban it.
Yeah, I agree. But it is a decent Earthshaker game for them as well. They banned Batrider. I mean, these are like...
Storm it is. That is the Spirit. I mean, now Thompson, this is where he thrives. He is last pick. We get to open the Tundra egg and see what the Thompson surprise is in here.
Fantastic analogy.
That's how it feels like watching Thompson play. It's like, what am I going to get today? What am I going to be treated with as a last pick here? He sees everything. He gets his lane. He's not going to get Puck, which is like the big one. And we're going to get an Alchemist, probably in the mid lane.
Tower Defender.
There's your Thompson surprise right there.
Yeah, Acid Spray Tower Defender. And Acid Spray is also really good against Lone Druid. I'm actually liking this elk.
I will say though, okay, this is cool and everything, but you are playing versus a Brood Lone Druid Chen lineup that is incredibly fast. So if this doesn't defend the towers, which I don't think Acid Spray really deters Chen very much, this could get ugly fast. But if they manage to get a couple defenses, they have an additional carry now.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. Yeah,
I mean, Tundra could also win the lanes really hard, and then maybe they won't run into damage issues, but if they don't, I do see ET Enchantress supports with the Mars. Where's the damage? It's not coming from the Alk until he gets a few items. It's got to come from Pure on the Luna, honestly. Like, Pure has to play active this game. You talked about him being able to play both active and greedy. Well, Luna is a hero that can do both. But in this game, I think he's not going to want to be the guy that's farming stacks. Like, he needs to show up to fights and use that ult, because otherwise they don't have damage.
Yes, but you're using your ulti into Chen creeps, Spiderites, and Lone Druid Bear. The ult's not going to be super effective this game, but his right click will. It seems like a bit of a greedy draft, so I'm not sure if it'll work out.
Yeah, is that reflected as well with the facet that he's going for Luna? Because that is one of the most contested facets that we have on a hero. It is almost down that 50-50 split of what people want to go for. Right now, he has selected the Moonstorm. So does that lead into exactly what you would like for him?
I think so. I mean, that tells me that he wants to win the lanes and play off of that, which if he wins the lanes, he can go through the portal, he can get active and do the damage that they need.
All right, we're going to get some more words, not from you guys, though, from one of our coaches down on stage with Slacks.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Hello, my friends. We have CY at TY yet again. Match made in heaven, of course, but a match made here in the hometown. How's it feel to be in hometown, baby?
Oh, it feels great.
All right, fantastic. The crowd feels the same way. Now, my friend, quite the aggressive draft here. I mean, second Lone Druid. Last time you and me talked, came through the lower bracket. You picked Lone Druid. Things didn't really work out too good. But this time, confidence. Why pick such a counterable hero so early? You feeling pretty okay?
We're feeling pretty good. I think we have the best Lone Druid in the world. And now we actually have 2 players as well. So I feel like we're pretty hot on it right now.
Absolutely. Now, the Broodmother has been a staple for you guys. You've been doing very well. I saw you banned out the sniper yourselves this time instead of picking it up. Would you be able to care to share why you would do that against these guys?
It's just one of the most annoying heroes in the game.
Well, I think we can all attest to that. Absolutely. All right, now, I gotta ask you, you pick some heroes that are kind of counterable. You know, you got the Broodmother, Lone Druid, all that. They're gonna end things with the Alchemist. If you were the coach, is that who you would have picked? How do you feel about that last pick, Alchemist?
I feel like when you have Thompson in your team, you don't really get a say in his hero. I think he picks whatever he wants to, and I think he wanted Alchemist, so that's that.
And that is that. All right, my friend. Well, thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck in Game 1, and let's go ahead and get into that game with our fantastic casters.
Thank you very much, Sir Action. SlackStuntsFan here with Cinder for game number 1 of this best of 3 between Gaming Gladiators and Tundra. This is going to be a sick series, Cinderman. And welcome home, by the way. Are you jet lagged from your long trip?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? These drafts today has had a lot of really good individual games, but who knows? Maybe we've saved the absolute best for last. Tundra versus Gaming Gladiators. The heroes that both teams are running here are... This has been a crazy mind game in and of itself, so I really hope everybody out there is ready for one hell of a game. København er klar!
What does that mean? Can you translate?
Do you hate Suns fans?
Well, I can't blame them. As we get into this game, you're talking about this lineup, Cinder. This is a disgusting zoo lineup, if you want to call it that, from Gaming.
Yeah.
What can Tundra do to try to contest it?
Well, first of all, obviously, as the panel talked about, it's a lot of the time when you're playing against Zoo like this, it's either having heroes that have a lot of AoE damage that hit multiple targets, and especially something like Echo Slam that they talk to death with, amplifying itself. Either you have that, or you need some big boys that stand in front of the tower and make it difficult to take. So in this case, Thompson's going to play the Alchemist. I was thinking to myself, maybe something like a Timbersaw could have been a possibility. That archetype of hero where effectively you're trying to just stall, buy time, and get to your items on, in this case, the Luna.
All right, so only time will tell if Gaming can play their fast style. We get to ponder this. What the horse happens here, Cinderella? Oh. The pause in the laning stage. Who gets the last hit?
I have never played this game with 3 lanes at once.
That's true. This is hardcore.
This is an extra challenge. I think Quinn will get his melee creep. You see the tower shot is about to hit that one, and he's mid-animation, so I'm pretty sure he's got that one on lock. All right, that makes it a lot harder. I don't think anyone can really... Oh,
this is the deadlock perspective here. You got to kill the souls that pop up after you last hit, of course.
All right, your $50 has been deposited in your Steam account.
Thank you, Gaben. Appreciate that. I'm really cheap, apparently. But yeah, this is going to be an epic series because I don't know if you disagree with this. I don't even know if this is that, contested of a statement, but I think Pure has been playing the best carry of the entire tournament. Would you agree with that?
I think he played at least the best individual carry game on his Luna. I think the game they had against Falcons was insane. So many split-second crazy decisions, extremely mechanically gifted player, and as we saw in the pregame, he's only 20. So, you know, this guy has
feels
a
like
lot
he's
of
been
years
around
ahead of him.
a long time, too.
Right. So I think he probably made his splash in the scene when he was like 16 or 17, right? And he's been growing and improving as a player. This was a player that used to, I want to say 2 years ago, have games where he just crumbled, like made key mistakes. The higher the stakes were, the less you could count on him. And I feel like he's just completely overcome that.
Well,
It's
I
been
think
really
part
cool
of
to
that
see.
is because he's not on B-Blob squad anymore, right? That's probably a big part of it, in fact. Since he's changed to this team, it has been smooth sailing for the most part. Of course, they're not playing with their regular position 4. We've talked about this many a time, but 9 class not able to make the tournament. But Sox, I mean, could you think of a better replacement for a position 4? This is a guy that used to be on the old Digital Chaos team that I was a part of, Cinder. And I remember when we were trying him out, both Bulba and I were like, this is the best position 4 I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing with this meta is because these heroes scale so well and they go into the late game. Remember when he was, we're going to see a big concoction here on the Quinn, but he will live. The fact that these Marana-type heroes, these position 4s that scale, when he was ranked 1, 2, and 3 in the world on the leaderboards, he played carry, not support in those situations. So that's another guy to look out for.
Yeah, it's cool how when you're good at Dota, you're just good at Dota, you know? Like, there are some players that choose to truly specialize and only play more or less one role their entire career. And in terms of pro play, Saksa is that guy as well.
Yeah.
But he just has a very wide repertoire, and I think there's something good to be said about trying other roles out, whatever level you play on. Whether you're a pro player or you're a 4K player, like diversifying your pool gives you a different and deeper understanding of the game. And I think that's part of his X factor. Nice arrow. Blood
hits.
grenade.
Yes, I believe that will be first blood going the way of Tofu. So Gaming Gladiators first on the board. Beautiful arrow.
Damn. Just, you know, maybe we shouldn't talk about players. It's just setting them up for failure here.
Yep, true.
But guess what? Pure can recover from this because he is playing an excellent tournament. So this is not going to shake him at all because that is not a problem he has anymore. So, okay, let's look a little bit at some other lanes here. I think this top lane, it's dangerous, to be fair. The Brood can very easily snowball, and I think the problem for Tundra really kicks in when Ace hits level 6. Then I just don't really see this ET Luna lane staying at all, and you probably need to move your pieces around a little bit for Tundra, but until that point, you have some pressure plays of your own. I think especially the Alchemist, knowing that it's Thompson and how he likes to do surprising stuff, I think that's actually going to be the hero to watch, even at the 6-minute mark. Could easily see him TPing to a side lane and trying to get something done with a higher level of concoction. Bottom lane for Tundra, I think this is the worst news of the series. As Fear pointed out, the Lone Druid matchup is really rough for Mars. But guess what? Ramses is actually doing quite well for himself so far.
Yep, not too shabby at all. And yeah, he's been very solid as an offlaner. Of course, played most of his career as a position 1, so it's been an adjustment over the last few years for him. But this mid lane, one lane we haven't really talked too much about, is the Storm Spirit for Quinn versus Thompson's Alchemist. And so far, Thompson is doing quite well.
Yeah, I think nowadays a lot of melee heroes that used to maybe struggle a little bit more against Storm do better. I would say Alchemist always would do okay in this matchup. You throw down the Acid Spray and you get some CS, and if Storm wants to come in for CS, especially in the past, you had to walk into the Acid Spray. Nowadays you can kind of go around it with the static slide, but yeah, Alch should be fine here. And of course he has the benefit of starting with additional gold, with the seed money facet. How did the first bounties go? Was that was a 3-for-1 split for Tundra as well, so even more went in their favor before the lanes actually began.
Well, I want to talk a bit about the Bear. Obviously that was a big discussion for the panel. Doraccio not known as the Lone Druid player. Ace is typically that.
Yeah.
A little bit of a fake up, so you get the Brood in the off lane now, and Doraccio for the Lone Druid. This facets in there, where you only get 3 slots, which just clicking on the hero just looks weird, first and foremost. But secondly, have you seen this in play yet?
I've not seen it in a pro game. I've seen it in pub games, and I think what people usually go for is something like what Doraccio is doing here. You just get some really cost-efficient, smaller items. He's going to start out with the Bracer here. I would imagine the second circlet turns into a Wraith Band. Let's see. He's actually not going to complete that one for now. He's working on treads, by the looks of it. But yeah, I think it's really strong, and more so than anything, I think it's really strong for the way Gaming Gladiators play the game, right? They really they are a team that a lot of the time, we've talked about this in a lot of their series, that you hit that 20-minute mark and it's like they flick a switch and then they just decide, okay, now we want to win. Now we feel like ending this game. And you have a facet like this that just empowers your hero with fewer items. Talk about a match made in heaven for this team, right? Like that is when they want to peak anyway. So you're just making them stronger at the timing that they had with the previous facet.
Yeah, that's true. I never really thought of it that way. That's definitely true. I'm confused why we haven't really seen it for Dyrachyo, why they're bringing it out now.
A lot. There's been a lot of teams that have first phase banned Lone Druid against them, and sometimes it's made it through to the second phase and then been banned. And Gaming didn't first pick it this series either, right? It was a second phase pick. It did rate Mirana over everything, which I think is very understandable. I think Solar Flare has been the spell of the tournament.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It is incredibly good. And they've built a lineup here where they have 3 cores that all benefit a ton from this physical damage that Mirana's going to give them. A lot of the time when we see lineups with Mirana, like maybe 2 cores use it, but here it's all 3. I wonder if it works on the bear.
Oh boy. I guess we'll find out a little bit later.
Because the bear is a little bit of a pseudo-hero with certain abilities.
I mean,
I'll try to keep an eye out for it.
It can pick up runes, you know?
Yeah.
So why not?
If it works on the bear, that is actually just dirty.
Yeah, well, that's your job to click and find out, all right?
I'll keep an eye on it.
I'm sure you're forgetting about 30 seconds.
You know
getting
me
pressure
so
hit
well.
by Thompson, but he did get that regen rune, so he's going to be super happy about that. That is the first power rune of the game. See how he actually uses it to potentially... I mean, how much maneuverability do they have to try to get some kills early on?
Well, both teams do have rotation power, right? The Storm is obviously the easier one to execute because you have so much reach, and with the regen rune, as you mentioned, that should be absolutely no problem. I think they're even, they're going to bring him in here. Tofu's going to connect and pop that smoke, and the regen's off. So first move of the game from that mid lane should be coming the way from Gaming Gladiators toward that top lane, and Tundra, they might have the read here with Thompson in his tower.
Yep, they zip on in. Whitemon looks super dead. Tofu's going to join the party. Starstorm is there as well. Pure on the run. That regen's still going for Quinn. The Lucid Beam connects, but just too many heroes as Gaming Gladiators with a 3-0 start to this game.
And now comes the big question. What do you do now that Brood is 6 and your Luna is level 4? Because she's not coming back to this lane. I'm telling you that much. She doesn't stand a chance here. So is she going to start playing the top jungle? And so Gaming Gladiators know that's going to happen. So they're going to start warding here. They're going to start playing more offensively up here. They're maybe even going to start dewarding there under the assumption that Tundra will be needing that area to give Pure the recovery. Who's going to cover? Are they going to bring the Ench up there? Is the Alp going to have to sacrifice tons of farm to cover up the Luna? It's definitely off to a pretty rough start here from the side of Tundra. Close
the fact that the Wisdom rune is still up for Gaiman, by the way, it just shows how busy they are doing other things.
Yeah, unimportant.
All right, concoction from Thompson. He's going to show himself. Obviously, if he can kill those spiders, that is going to be a lot of money for him. So Ace does have to be a bit careful for that.
It's quite difficult, though. He can't target the spiders themselves, so he either needs to run into them and explode, or he needs to throw them on a hero that's next to the spiders, and Ace has tons of experience on this hero, so unlikely.
Eventually, Tofu takes the Wisdom. Okay, so if I don't know if you want to say that they're on a time limit here, but Gaiman obviously are going to ramp up really fast,
yeah,
right?
So it's going to go fast.
For Thompson's build, what would you like to see? Because we've been seeing the Radiance as the typical go-to.
Yeah, we also haven't seen Alk mid. Right? I think this is the first game of the tournament, correct me if I'm wrong. At least I don't recall seeing a game that this was wrong. It's mainly been the carries. I think Radiance is too slow, but the question, like the old mid Alchemist build that some players would go for would be Solar Crest. Are you actually queuing up the Radiance now? It's high risk, high reward. I can't say I love it because I'm a little bit concerned.
First arena of the game will be reserved for Celery, and that's the first kill from Tundra. I mean, they're only down 1,000 at this point, so has not snowballed in Gaiman's direction quite yet, but good to get on the board nonetheless.
Is of course worth keeping in mind when looking at the gold that there is an Alchemist on the dire side.
Yes.
They have 3 bounty runes, and he's mid, and therefore he generally will have more CS than the safe lane Alp.
Yeah.
So this is actually, I would say, already a quite meaningful advantage for the side of Gaming Gladiators.
Oh, Whitemon. Initiated on by Quinn. That is another kill to Gaiman's side. And Thompson can only just run away.
So what I was thinking was, in the past, what Alchemists would buy in mid would be the old Solar Crest, right?
Yeah.
Where you just amplify your concoction of the target, do a ton of damage with that, and acid spray, and kind of snowball fights off of that, and a lower cooldown on the concoction. Not really an option you have anymore. The Radiance most of the time will probably be the best choice. I just think this game particularly, the pace might just be so high that he gets this Radiance and then they're pushing high ground. Like, that is a possibility here.
Yeah.
Already now taking over that mid tier 1 and the top tier 1, so 10 minutes in. 10 minutes in.
Nice voice line. Go buy it in your Dota 2 store right now.
Yeah. It's nice when your players and co-casters advertise for your thing.
He really needs it, guys. He needs this win, all right? So at what point is Gaming going to be ready to just 5-man is the question I have.
I guess 1 to 2 auras is when they just look to push the high ground. So Chen will be getting the drums here. Those are not far off, so that will be the first one. I think Brood Greaves, we're looking at 3 minutes. Lone Druid is going for a Maelstrom first. I think pretty standard. I want to say drums, mech, plus 1 additional aura item and an Aegis, and they could even think about it. So 5 to 10 minutes is a real possibility.
By the way, I just thought of something, which is very unique for me.
Yeah, that's a first.
So these necrotic webs from Ace, they reduce regen by 30%. Chemical Rage is regen. So if he's in, oh boy, Pure about to get completely surrounded. 2 tomatoes, a porcupine, and then some Gaming Gladiators heroes as well. The 3rd death for him in this game. Boy, we really cursed him. Good lord. Soxa trying to pressure the tier 1 tower. In the meantime, Quint will casually right-click him down. Soxa does not have his ult yet, so feels like, oh, he's actually regenerating quite a bit as Quinn running out of mana, but eventually does get the kill.
I will say, so you say we're cursing Pure, but I think if anything, this goes to show when one of the best carries, if not the of the tournament in terms of performance individually so far, is this much in trouble, it goes to show that Gaiman's prep and their strategy is really strong.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Because Pure has not had this much trouble in any game this tournament that I can remember, just getting absolutely run over, and his plan B is getting countered too. So now it's time for plan C. We'll see how long he gets to play this one before they take away the next area of the map. Ramses will be acting as wall here, but he can't cover it alone, so they're going to need to bring in the Enchantress as well. Arrow, gonna connect on Whitemon, no dive available. But Gaming Gladiators own 60% of the map. We're 10 minutes in.
Yep.
It is a major concern for Tundra, and they need to very quickly get to something meaningful, and it's not going to come from Pure. So the guy you're looking at right now is Thompson getting his first big eye out. That's not the way to do it. I think denying yourself with a concoction at the Ancients is not a get-rich-fast scheme.
Maybe he knows something we don't, Cinderin.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's
going to slow him down a bit.
Took a lot of damage.
Yeah, that stack will give him Radiance though, if he can eventually finish it. But while he's thinking about that, the tier 2 tower top is gone.
Would you believe it? They have made us patch to this game, so now there's 2 Tormentors. And he found the second one.
Soxa.
He's dead.
Very dead. Does have his ult now, but still. Just too much damage. His bottom lane, Dyrachyo. He is surrounded. There's the arena. The Eclipse coming out. His Thompson wins. Dyrachyo somehow kills Ramses before, and now Pure will get the trade. So not as clean as you would like if you're Tundra, but you do take out Dyrachyo at the very least.
He traded in a 1v4 and forced like 2 or 3 TPs to that tower. It doesn't get much better than that. Okay, he had Hand of God, so let's call it a 1.2 against 4. That was, the fact that he gets that outcome, I think he's pretty happy with it. Sure, yeah, he's a nice kill for Tundra and all, but again, now you've effectively, what this play did is it forced all of Tundra down in this area now. And for Gaming Gladiators, this gives you the option of, we talked about constricting the map. Are you going to try to flush them out of this area now? And if so, where are they going to go? You have Vision top. You know the Storm is inhabiting that area. He just lives up here now.
Oh.
It's his new home.
Well, showing off the Radiance is Thompson, so do have to be a lot more careful with those little spiders. I assume, I mean, he's going to have to go like a Blink BKB or something to that effect as Ramses will find Quinn, or is it the other way around? 9-2 start for Gaiman as, again, you talked about it, 5k lead against a core Alk. As Thompson, he will run into Dyrachyo, gets off the concoction. Yep, Pure's in the area as well, gets off the Lucent Beam. Here comes Tofu, though, trying to block them out, puts down the GG branch. Dyrachyo's stuck in a corner. Big kill for Thompson. Showing some signs of life is Tundra. And Quinn, pretty low on mana, but he does have the rune bottled, as Thompson will be stunning himself again.
Look,
and just
his
casually
plan is to
farming
take
away.
the Ancients, and this time he actually does explode next to the creeps. but didn't actually mean to farm those. So, yeah, they stem the bleeding a little bit. It's good for them to find another kill onto Dyrachyo here for Tundra. But Gaming Gladiators still feels like this game is theirs to win. If they can keep the momentum up, if they can get the Roche, keep snowballing, get the last 2 tier 2 towers, and then it's just a matter of which items are you waiting for. Because I think if they take these next 2 towers and have the Aegis in hand, they effectively get to decide what happens in the game in the next 5 minutes. I think initiative is extremely limited for Tundra's lineup. I think a lot of the ways that their lineup could have found initiative had to happen early, but the lanes were so difficult that that stage of the game is kind of over. Enchantress didn't find much success, the Elder Titan didn't get too much done, and your mid-hero is Alchemist, so he needs to tread this difficult line between finding farm and actually being active. And he's been resorting mainly to the farm aspect on top. He's barely ahead of Brood.
Yeah.
He's a mid-alch, and they have about the same GPM going on here, so.
Okay, is this build that Dyrachyo is going for normal? He's going Gleipnir on the ranged Lone Druid, so the bear is not nearly part of this strat, it seems.
I mean, this is such a new thing for me that I don't really have much of a frame of
there was a
reference,
time when this was a thing, actually, as Pure will be able to TP out just barely.
That was very close.
There was a brief 1-week window in Dota 2 history where ranged Lone Druid was a thing.
What voice line is that? Wait, what? That's a Luna voice line?
I guess.
Hell yeah.
Purchase it now at the Dota 2 store.
I love Luna.
Along with Cinderins.
Very good.
Well, Pure's gotten a little bit of space, but we can see in terms of the net worth, still bottom of the cores, and on a Luna, that is very bad news. Getting a little bit closer to his eventual Manta style, though, which will help amplify the farm quite a bit, but he needs time, Cinder. I'm not sure if he has it.
And now the pipe comes out for Brood. So mech pipe complete. I'm assuming the Greaves are next to follow. Chen with the drum, soon a Solar Crest. Lone Druid with the Gleipnir as well in 50 gold. Tofu now has the Shard, so he's not going directly into a utility item, but will be able to scale himself as well. A little bit of a, you could call it like a backup plan, and also the fact that because they have so many good aura buyers, it's kind of a luxury game for the Mirana where you can kind of buy whatever you feel like, I think.
Yep.
So we'll see what he puts this gold to use for.
Well, you say that today, it almost bit Snake King in the ass, getting a Satanic on the Mirana instead of some more helpful items.
There might have been a better item in that game. But they won.
It worked, technically, yes.
The champions always get to write history. No one will remember that he bought the wrong item because they won the game.
Yeah.
And everybody would have criticized him if they lost. So that's how it goes. All right, I believe it's time for Big Stone Man to meet half the population of the world of Dota.
Yes,
one
that's,
go.
That's quite the zoo
this is
they've
quite
got
the
here.
home invasion here. All of them. This is like 50
Tofu
units on Roche.
He's spotted, so he will likely just be the trade for Roche here. And the Aegis will be taken by Quinn, as we've talked about many a time, one of the best Aegis carrying heroes in the game. Nothing's changed on that front.
And Aegis, yeah.
Some TPs here, but Pure will be able to get away. And Manta still not quite finished yet. But he's not that far behind Quinn, if you look at the core net worths right now, so things are evening out a bit. In fact, you can see the lead has gone down to 2K, so
yeah,
that's the Alchemist effect.
Would you believe the win expectancy for this game is 50-50?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So the thing is here, we've talked Gaming Gladiators up in what position they are in the game, and I still feel like you have the feeling that it's impending, right? That they have this insane push coming. But the thing about a strategy like this is if you trip up once, if they have one failed push, their lineup could extremely quickly run out of steam against the lineup of Tundras.
Oh,
and they find Quinn.
Quinn's really low. The Echo's not quite enough. He zips away just in time.
How cool is Celery to not Hand of God there?
He probably just forgot.
Good luck, Quinn.
I mean, he did have Aegis, so wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, but Soxa, he's going to be found and eventually will be brought down as well. In the meantime, we have Dyrachyo's bear. He's like, what does this bear even have on it? It's just branches, for God's sake. But they're going to come with some backup. It's Pure in the backline, be able to take out Dyrachyo in tow. Quinn, he gets the kill. Ace actually gets the kill on Thompson. And the Aegis still remains online for Quinn.
That is still a very nice kill for the side of Tundra. Sure, you lose your Alk, which sucks, but you killed the bear twice. He resummoned and died instantly on that Lone Druid, and this is going to buy them a little bit of breathing room.
He's barely using the bear, Cinder. It has branches on it.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter.
It doesn't yet. Maybe when he moves the items to the bear, it will matter.
So
See,
you're
that's
saying
the
he shouldn't
ultimate
have he should have gone stats. That's the old Lone Druid pup build from Dota 1 when people did not want to micro. Not because it was actually good, but because people were lazy and didn't know what to do. I don't know if I would agree with that here. Currently...
So for those that don't know, we talked briefly about it. The 3-slot Lone Druid, essentially you're getting 80% bonus stats for any of the items in those 3 slots. So for Gleipnir, if he keeps it on the hero, it's more damage, more attack speed, more int, more HP. Now, initially reading that, it's like, okay, you just put a bunch of bracers on them and you put everything on the bear, as always. But seeing a bit of a difference here. We'll see if he pivots, though. He could always pivot, of course.
Yeah, I'm
very interesting, though.
I'm very curious to see what the idea is here and with the build, especially if the original idea fails. Like, how does this build change if you lose the mid game on this hero? I mean, generally, you don't really pick Lone Druid as a late game solution of any sort, but you know, some games just go that way, and you have to deal with it. Ramses will Crimson Guard the tower, and they will glyph it as well, buying some nice time here, and the siege creep will actually be taken out. And now Thompson with the Manta will be harder to push into. Just maybe Tundra have managed to buy themselves enough space. I still think it's difficult, but with a Manta on Alk, I'm starting to believe more and more in their ability to just stall out as long as possible while Pure farms up a Storm. He's level 16 on the Luna, by the way.
Really?
Higher level than anyone on Gaming Gladiators.
Wow.
The highest level on their side is the Storm with 15.5. So Pure, despite dying 3 times in lane,
He's 1 in 3.
is still the highest level hero.
And what a beast. And now the Tormentor will get ganked pretty hardcore. Look away, children. Who gets the shard?
White
Oh, God.
Quinn's a bit late to the party, but
he
he's
wants
going
to
anyway.
fight, apparently. Uses the Electric Vortex, gets speared into a tree. Again, still has Aegis for less than a minute, so Tundra not going to expend much more resources on him. But they're just going from tower to tower with this Aegis advantage. Another tier 2 will fall. In fact, all of them are now gone.
All right. Now what? Now, what are you going to do to
now
maintain
you move
this?
the items to the bear, right?
That makes no sense at all.
That's so cool. I love seeing this new stuff.
I think it's very, you can be very creative with this. I feel like this is the kind of thing where the builds haven't necessarily been discovered yet. There might be 1 or 2 paths that would actually be crazy that players just haven't figured out. Quinn will be confident taking away this rune. He still has Aegis for another 15 seconds, and Tundra uninterested in forcing that.
So he's going Echo Saber into Harpoon on Dyrachyo, by the way.
Yep.
So
usually the bear items sometimes.
Yes. So that's like when he's in melee form, obviously the Echo Saber will work, otherwise no. That's really strange. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe it's really good for, how long does his ulti last? So 40 seconds, you're really strong, and then after that you have to swap your items over. I don't know.
It's like a little mini game in the middle of the fight. I mean, we've seen it before.
I think Koikva might actually be out in the audience right now. He's just cringing so hard. Dude, you don't understand this hero. It's just like, he has probably played this hero 5 times, no, let's say 100 times more than Dyrachyo. Maybe, you know?
Yeah.
He has committed his life to being a bear.
I could see that, yeah.
So if anyone would know what to do here, it would be him. But unfortunately, we don't have him. I can't phone a friend right now. That is against arena policy when broadcasting.
Oh, Ramses gets a nice spear onto Quinn. There's the hand of Gaben to keep him healthy. Thompson now on the run. Doesn't have his ult for another 20 seconds, so of course he's in these webs, so it's not nearly as effective. As Quinn will use most of his mana, in fact, just to zip away to the other side. So neither side really looking for a full fight yet. And Pure showing himself level 17, has the Manta, Dragonlance, and what's next? Looks like he'll actually finish the Hurricane Pike.
Yeah, I think he wants a way to reliably disengage from the bear.
Oh, Gleipnir initiation.
Speaking of.
Into the arrow, Sox is dead.
Yeah.
Good start here for Gaiman.
That was their smoke pop, though. They still have Quinn smoke, but the rest are now visible, so I think Soxa might have just taken that one for the team. And once again, let's keep in mind that the name of the game here for Tundra is not winning fights, it's staying alive. You know, very rarely, a lot of the time when we cast, I'm a champion of, you know, you got to take low percentage plays to get back in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time when you look at this game status, Whiteman is dead. That will be what I would be preaching is, all right, the Dire have to group up, make a smoke play and try to get something done to stabilize the game and get back. But in this particular game, the solution is actually to farm. You just dodge, dodge, dodge. It's hard. It's hard to play that way, but I do think it's the best solution. And these teams are obviously world class, so they can pull it off. I would not advise people to use split push as their primary strategy in Dota in the last couple of years, but sometimes it's the way you got to do it. And they've, in my opinion, done a pretty admirable job at equalizing this game. 7k gold lead, you have Alk. I know it's not pretty, but it's definitely not out of the question. Now, what auras do Gaming Gladiators have left to buy? So Chen just finished Vlad's. They have Pipe Greaves. They have Solar.
And AC.
Yeah, so Shiva AC is still missing. I don't know if they want either of them right now.
Oh, we have an arena. Oh, but the missed spear doesn't really matter though. Celery is basically a creep within here. Pure and company will. Okay, the pipe Duracho going in with the harpoon, doing so much damage to this Mars. Ramsey's just abandoned by his team as Thompson will concoct and attempt to run. He might be stunning himself, but the arrow is upon Soxa again. We've seen it time and time again in this game. As now Gaming Gladiators on the footsteps here of the base from Tundra.
And I was talking about how for Gaming's side, if they mess up a push, Tundra can, this is the type of game they can solve, but you got to look at the other side of the coin
that's
too.
A lot of damage onto Quinn. He better be careful. That does not have the Aegis here.
They're still defending us only 3 for now, so this is a pretty good sign for Tundra. If these 3 can hold the tower on their own with just the threat of a potential buyback, that is very good news for them. Pure.
Yeah, gets initiated on Ornate. HP's in a lot of trouble. Tries to force that away, but he is dead for a full minute. And now you have to worry about the zoo from Gaming Gladiators.
They just did the hard part of this defense, and then they walked outside.
Wait, he just got buyback. He just got buyback on Pure.
He does not want to have to spend this here.
No,
it
absolutely
is really,
not. But
really expensive.
I mean, they're going to lose a lot here. Crimson will delay just a bit. They'll have another fortification refreshed here. After the melee racks goes down, they likely will have to give up this set, though, surely. Another harpoon initiation. Soxa dead again.
Yeah, you don't really expect to be harpooned by the ranged lone druid, do you? It's not really... There's no, how to say, frame of reference for that one. Genuinely think it's possible Soxa didn't even consider that play there. But yeah, harpoon also works on ranged heroes. You can pull yourself in. Just don't have the Echo Saber double hit.
Oh, Thompson. Oh my god. Nothing's going to happen here. But that was funny, let's be real.
Pinging a ward that isn't quite where he thinks it is, so they might not even find this one with a D ward. As a matter of fact, 3 really good aggressive wards right now from the side of Gaming. One at the top, one in the center, and one in between is going to be very difficult for Tundra to clean up the whole mess. In the meantime, you have to accept that we're going to have to be contesting with a Roshan's banner in a second Aegis here, because this fight, I think it is impossible for them to make it here even remotely in time. With everything Gaming has, this is a very quick claim. And Tundra might just turn tail and run here. I think without information, this play is just so low percentage. They might be better off
Pure's actually sticking around.
Okay.
Yeah. They can see that somebody's taking some lotuses, and they must be punished for their transgressions. Eclipse used on the Tofu. That's a BKB! How? Quinn pops his BKB. Everybody's golden on Gaming Gladiator's side as Pure's taking breath of the damage. Actually, inside the arena, getting really low. Finally, the Luna drops is at the cost of the Brood, though. And remember, Aegis still there for Quinn. They just picked it up. Thompson now attempting to pursue. He gets feared away. Ramsey's with a nice rebuke to end Tofu finally. As Soxa dies for the 100th time this game, is Duracho continuing to just right-click away with this Echo Saber. Ramsey's the last remaining member of Tundra, about to fall. Full team wipe for Gaming Gladiators.
And Quinn is beyond godlike, 10-0-9. I feel like we have not had many games this tournament where Storm Spirit is #1 net worth. But he makes it look so damn easy with this lineup and with how strong Gaming Gladiators are when they couple up. Just everything has been going right, more or less. That's the thing here is that I guess if this game does end up being just a complete blowout now at this point, the thing Tundra can take with them to next game is I don't think Gaming could have done much better. So, you know, if you make a couple of adjustments in your strategy, perhaps you can solve it, but it's not over yet. 17,000 is a lot, and they still do have the Aegis. But you saw in that fight how low the heroes actually got on the side of gaming. They almost made it through them. They got through the Brood, and they had multiple heroes in like 10%. It was not far off.
Yeah, we can watch the replay here.
But this opener is just ridiculous.
The fact that he has BKB.
He had a big Lotus
I can't get
BKB
over
leap.
that. God, Dota is hilarious now. It really is.
But the arena from Mars was insane there.
Thompson finding an opening onto Dyrachyo, picked up a Scotty, so he is mega tanky. Gets feared away of his own arena as well. Pure
Good
with
arrow.
the Eclipse, trying to take it of his Dyrachyo with his berry. He's finally going to be brought to an end. Quinn, Aegis still online. Will not try to waste it here and back away.
Little bit of a slip up there. It's just one core, but every core death is a minute of farm, and it is progression. This Luna will reach a point of critical mass that will become a problem for the Radiant lineup. I don't think they can feel completely safe just yet. Butterfly is within reach. We're looking at about 2,000 gold for Pure before he completes that one. And on the Alchemist, the AC, similar story, maybe 2.5. So those two items, that evasion, that armor, is going to negate a ton of what Lone Druid is bringing to the table. White is going to find some friends.
That is so sad. They baited the bounties. Don't see that very often at 31 minutes in the game, but yeah, Gaming Gladiators definitely in the driver's seat. They'll still have plenty of time in this Aegis to try to push yet another lane once Dyrachyo is back into the fray. So he doesn't have boots, his mobility is Harpoon. All his trash items that he had on his hero previously are on the Bear.
Yep.
So the Bear is the recycling bin, in other words.
Yep.
Very cool build, I have to say.
The second-hand Bear here. Yeah. Just passing it down to the next generation. It's very beautiful. Although it is a little bit savage that he just has his Bear run out in front of him. It's maybe a little bit uncalled for. Anyway, high ground attempt potentially.
So
on the
in ranged form, he has almost 5,000 health, by the way. In ranged form.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Is absurd.
That is actually
God, that is insane. Oh, they might be catching Ramses here. Quinn gets Lucent Beam. Electric Vortex is there. He's taking a lot of damage from Sox on the other side, though. Ramses finally uses his arena and dies shortly after. And Quinn continue on with that BKB. Thompson, concoction onto 2 BKB targets because everybody has that item on Gaming Gladiator side. 2 dead for Tundra. And just like that, we're in a 5 versus 3, not including Aegis.
Tundra will just
and
not
their buildings will melt.
Uh-oh, another kill.
Yeah, opening up onto Soxa again.
No buybacks.
Having a really rough game. Still 2 cores of life for Tundra, but surely they cannot defend this.
This is minimum megas if that's what they want. They could even just full-on push for tier 4s.
Yeah, they will try. That massive siege damage from Dyrachyo's Bear with the branches still in his inventory. And they're going to try to go on top of the Luna. Pure dead again.
Chen
does
AC
have all right. And Thompson, last remaining member for the time being, inside of his fountain. Just trying to kite them. Dyrachyo's Bear tickling him as
so
GG is called. Gaimin absolutely manhandle Tundra in game number 1.
And just a little detail toward the end of that. First of all, I didn't see if the Bear had solo clear. We talked about that. I forgot to check it. You were right.
Forgot. Yep. Good.
The Lone Druid himself had 500 damage per hit in ranged form with these 3 items on him and all the auras that they had. That was completely overwhelming. Just an overwhelming ball that Gaimin brought to the table here. And Tundra, they have to change things up for game 2.
Absolutely. Let's see what the panel and Jenkins have to say about Lone Druid.
Well, I can definitely ask the panel and Jenkins just exactly what they think here, because you guys knew just how dominant this Gaming Gladiators early game was going to be. But we thought there could have been ways in for this out. This last pick could have been something that tied Tundra over if they could survive that little bit. And whilst they technically could survive winter, it wasn't them coming out on top in survival. It was literally bare bones just surviving.
I mean, I had the impression that the Elk was gonna be maybe more active early, maybe had a different item build instead of the Radiance. We see them do this Elk Radiance one time already in the group stage when Ramses played it, and this time I feel like it's a very similar case, you know. They have 2 carries in the game. They couldn't really slow down the game enough for Luna to get herself back. She had a disastrous lane because she was like so poor from the start, and she was like always constantly just playing catch up, like waiting for the Mars and the Elk to help you get yourself back into the game. But if your Elk is also buying a Radiance, then I feel like that's kind of a very, very hard position to be put in, you know, as the Luna.
So what is the build on Alk then? Because I mean, I feel like he got pretty farmed, but he just didn't do anything. Like, I did not feel any impact from the Alk in that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just the build
Blink
or just
Orchid or something.
Yeah, just how he played, or it's the build. I was kind of thinking along the lines of maybe going for like Dagger at some point. Like you have to play with the Mars, right? I feel like that's the point of defending the push from GG later, and you need to join with the Mars when the arena comes. You have to kind of fend them off when they're pushing your towers, but that kind of didn't really happen. They were always like trying to trade farm elsewhere on the map. They were split pushing, and that wasn't really the vision I had in mind when I saw the Elk pick. I thought the Elk had a lot of potential, but in the game it just looked like another carry.
Do you feel maybe getting a little bit kited as well, the Alk here, just not exactly which target to lock down, to where to go onto? Because everyone on Gaming Gladiators was always escaping. I mean, this fight is one of those just by a little bit of health. So it felt like maybe they weren't on the same page of exactly who was the high priority that they needed to take out, and that's where Tundra's team fight fell apart.
I found it very interesting, just like how they knew Gaimin was going to come at you very quickly with heroes that push very fast, have high tempo. Like, I don't know what to answer your question with. Like, sure, like maybe Mars Arena plus Earth Splitter, that's your team fight right there, but you have to know that's not enough damage here. And going in against this GG lineup, you see Brood, you see Lone Druid, you see Chen. Your option is to pick Alchemist. Sure, you can give it a try. Maybe Thompson versus Storm has a free lane matchup, which he did. He did well in the laning stage, but the idea of like sitting on your high ground or sitting behind towers and throwing acid sprays and defending indefinitely just isn't a thing in Dota right now. If they see you sitting there defending, they're going to play the map. The map is 40% bigger than what it used to be, so you can just go farm everything, and they have heroes that can farm absolutely everything. So maybe you're sitting up there, you're waiting, but I really think this Alchemist pick, it just put another carry in the game. I don't think there's a magical build that makes this hero really fast. Maybe you get a fast Radiance and fast Blink, and you can play quickly, but unfortunately, Pure suffered because of this. That's just how it went.
I do want to do a slight pivot away from the Alk, because I know that's what everybody's looking at. It's like this last pick didn't work out. It might have also gone that way if Thompson was just on a normal hero too, because to me, the absolute MVP of this game was Tofu. This guy was playing insanely well. First, he started with the First Blood arrow, where he just threw it. It was like right next to the range creep and clipped with some like trigonometry going on there to kill Pure, which set Pure's game up for a complete disaster, gave Tofu 2 bracers. He also rushed the BKB, which we saw in a fight let him, run in with the 2 bracers at 25 minutes, so he's getting double the stats. Super tanky BKB bait for his team. Then later we saw the Bounty Rune bait on Whitemon. This guy is locked in for this series. Absolute MVP in my eyes.
Yeah, I like the evolution of Tofu as well. Like, I used to see him pretty much build auras only. Like, when Hoodwink was buying Gleipnir, I saw him still building mech on that hero a while ago. Now he's just like, we got plenty of auras. Chen has all of them. Brood got all the auras. I'm just going to be the carry now. Ends up going for BKB, going for that Daedalus next. Made a good transition. I feel like his growth has been nice to see. And yeah, I wanted to spotlight this here. This is one of the big problems of the game here. Ace Brood, typically whenever he does pick it, becomes a problem. 14 minutes in the game here. The difference in net worth is astronomical here. Same with the items as well. And this is where you kind of want a mid laner who can just be like, all right, Brood's a problem. Let's go ahead and rotate, kill this Brood, crack open that Pinata, but they just couldn't because this Alchemist was farming Ancients while Luna was just getting tracked down in the secondary jungle.
I think that is one of the bigger issues here, is how Gaming Gladiators were able to take towers as fast as they could. I mean, that's one of the benefits of having that Broodmother on your side. But not only that, they're able to farm across this whole map. And when it mattered most, they were still able to converge and connect with each other winter. And I think that that's something that's really difficult for teams to be able to find that balance. How are you able to split, make the most of a map, but also come together and make sure you have that numbers advantage in team fights when it matters most?
I think this all comes down to the talk after the game. Everyone's sitting around there, we're looking at the replay together. We need to all come to the same conclusion. This is how we want to play. And in the game itself, you kind of, when you're looking at the minimap, you know where you have to be. And it's not just that, and also the communication. When someone is really telling everybody, we need to go here, we need to move to this location, everyone just
full trust. We drop everything we're doing and we just move to that location.
Look, I love the opinions you guys have given here. It's quite serious, you know. I mean, we're in the upper bracket of TI right now, but those teams, they're going to go backstage. They're going to reset before game number 2. And right now, for us, we're going to head on down to the crowd with Tsunami.
Thank you very much, and Nat, as I am here. Copenhagen is the last series of the night. How are we feeling? It's been a fast day for you guys. Hopefully you can keep that energy if this goes to 3 games. But in the meanwhile, I'm left wondering about what it's like to interact with everybody, because so many times I read online, for you, Nat, and all of the panel, that they're like, I don't believe these panel opinions. They don't know what they're talking about, but I disagree. I think that our panelists are professionals, so much so that I think that they could defend the most outlandish, ridiculous opinions that people have. And I've actually got some people here to ask some questions to our panelists. So, for our first panelist, first of all, introduce yourself.
My name is Mark. I'm from Germany.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm assuming you're rooting for Tofu.
Yeah.
Go figure. All right. I would like you to ask a question to Nat. The most ridiculous opinion you can think of that she has to defend.
Is Dota from Down Under the best Dota in the world?
Ooh, Australian Dota, Nat, the best in the world. That's a tough one. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's definitely a hot take, all right? I'll give you that one. Yeah. I think a lot of people out there might not agree, but I definitely agree with you, okay? Some things to back it up. Yeah, I know, right? If you're opinionated, you can't just say, trust me, bro. You got to say a little bit extra in the tank there. I mean, we've had a 2-time TI winner in Ana. Just before that one, we had a TI finalist in KP, who has now moved on to coach a top 3 team in Liquid. And I mean, considering our population, the results, it's pretty good. But if you want the extra spice on top, the amount of Australian Dota 2 talent working this international and the road to international, percentage-wise, it's up there. There's 6 of us out there, you know?
Wow, compelling stuff. I think the public at large is convinced. Are you convinced? Is Down Under Dota actually pretty damn good?
She made some good points, but not entirely.
You'll have to win her over a second time, but we got more panelists on that desk. I want you, my friend, to ask a question for Fear. But first of all, introduce yourself.
My name is Andrea, and I come from Montenegro.
Okay. Now, what do you got for Fear? The most ridiculous idea that Fear has to defend.
Should have CDC won the TI5.
Ooh. Evil Geniuses TI champion, Fear. Should you have won that Aegis?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think Aggressive was the best carry in the world at the time. They stomped us 2-0 in the upper bracket final. Shiki was saving strategies. So sometimes you just get lucky. I agree with you.
Okay then, wow.
He really thinks he shouldn't have won.
That is what he does on panel.
A real self-character assassination there, but I admire the effort. All right, my friend, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Patrick from Croatia.
Right on. All right. Could you give Winter an opinion to defend?
They should bring back old techies.
They should bring back old techies, Winter. Already, apparently, that's not that hot of an opinion. But Winter, do you agree?
Yes, old techies is so fun.
That's it? It's just fun?
I enjoy playing techies in all my games, 2-hour games, But the last game before I go to bed, I tell my friends 1 extra game. Can't wait for that techies game.
I agree with the guy. I wish that was my question. I agree with that guy. Turn Dota into a 1v9, not a 5v5. That's the right way to play. Sorry, go ahead.
That wasn't your opinion, Jenkins.
Well,
please.
panel works together. Well, some of them.
Oh, thank you, Jenkins. Thank you.
It's a collaborative experience, and I'm 100% convinced that Winter loves playing 5 games of Dota in 1. But Jenkins, we'll get your question right now, my friend. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Caro from Germany, and my question, as hook magnet I am, why is Pudge the worst hero in the pool?
Jenkins, why is Pudge the worst hero in the pool?
Oh my God, this is not good, dude. They should have ran this one by me. Because you hook a guy, and then your whole team groups up around you, and then the guy just kills you. Why is he so squishy? He's the biggest, fattest guy in the game, You think that the reason that Pudge works in like Herald and low MMR is because
Which you would know thoroughly,
which
not
I would
because
know
of content,
thoroughly,
but because you play there.
because I play in there.
Yeah.
Is that people are afraid of him, but people in high-rated games are not stupid. They realize you just turn and kill the guy, and he dies every time. Just give him +1 armor, Ice Frog. Look at this abomination of Mirana. Just give me +1 armor. Come on. Real funny, Tsunami. Real funny.
Oh, is he finally done?
I play ranked, okay? I don't sit in unranked like you. Because I'm not afraid.
I thought you
I'm
said
not
panel was
afraid anymore.
collaborative here.
Calm down.
This is the other aspect of the panel,
sorry.
when things get contentious. But the problem is I have control of the mic, which means that I will graciously give it back to you after all those opinions. Thank you very much, panel.
Thank you so much, Tsunami, and everyone else in the crowd that was able to ask us some questions there. I feel like we did well, though, to defend some of the hot take opinions out there, especially Winter. It's just fun. I love 2-hour Dota games.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know. The one game before you go to bed, it just happens every time. The techies game.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had one of those games.
I mean, yes, definitely. Everyone's had that. I feel like it doesn't really happen so much in this patch. And when we look towards our competitive games as well, it really doesn't happen. Very rarely, Jenkins, even in this event, have we even gotten to that 60-minute. It has happened, but it's really rare compared to the previous internationals and regions.
It's happened in a couple of the game 2s today, so I would love
Elimination mostly, I feel.
Yeah, that's true. When the pressure is on, I think that's when people are a little bit more afraid to make moves. That's when some of the mistakes get made, and so you have comebacks. You have comebacks in both directions where the games go very late, but still, I would like to see that game 2 trend continue. You know, let's see some 60-minute Dota here.
Okay. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's down to the coaches as well of what they want to draft. For me, it's really down to what is Moon saying to the Tundra players right now, because it was a beatdown. Let's be real. They couldn't survive that early game in a position fear to even have a potential mid to late game, to even want to be able to take fights that aren't you being 5v1.
Yeah, I mean, Moon had more papers than CY did in that locker room there, but I wonder if that's what they need, a strategy adjustment. Looking at the picks, what they're going to play against, what they're going to pick to counter that. They clearly knew Gaming was going to do this, but they just didn't have the answer. So hopefully they have a secondary answer to this, because I don't think Gaming's going to change their style at all. They're going to play the same way. They're going to keep playing that way until you prove to them that they can't play that way. Then they'll still play that way anyway, because that's just how Gaming plays.
Look, they do find a playstyle that works for them, and they keep going, and even if there is that minor setback of a game, they will still go back for it. But both of our teams are right now coming out on stage, Gaming Gladiators, with that one-game advantage right now. We said that we love when Hobson goes out of that meta, when he picks up something new in that mid lane. Credit to him, Winter. The mid lane was very even. It wasn't this beatdown where an Alc mid lane felt like it couldn't work. It was just that later part of the game where it wasn't that impact.
Yeah, I always say I'm a very big fan of trying something in the first game. If you have an idea that you think you can break apart the meta game, I think go ahead. You know, if it works, it gives you such a big advantage in the next game. Now, unfortunately for them, they have to go back, you know, to what works, but it takes a lot of courage, you know, to try something in the first game, and I give them that.
I agree. I think that's probably the talk that Moon had. Is he's like, all right, guys, we tried some.
It's my fault, guys.
Crazy
No
stuff.
strat saving.
Right, exactly.
Like Theo was talking about.
Yeah, I picked some weird stuff. Let's just go next, and we'll play something a little more normal. And you know, normal for Thompson is still abnormal, but that was
true.
Very abnormal. If he could have gotten his like last pick Dazzle, or you know, we talked about the Earthshaker, like something like that, I think the game would have been entirely different. And also, I don't want to just say it's the Alc mid. I also credit to Gaming Gladiators. Like Quinn was incredibly active in the early game on his Storm. The very first rotation, he was completely out of mana from shoving the lane. He had a regen rune, and then they smoked and killed Pure, and at the same time, Dyrachia was coming through the portal. So these guys were just crazy coordinated in the early game, where I feel like the Alc is almost like a red herring in a way, where Gaimin...
There's a deeper issue at large.
There's a deeper issue.
A bigger skill gap.
There feels like there's a skill gap, and I hope for the sake of getting that 60-minute game that Tundra has also identified that Gaimin was making very fast moves, and Tundra needs to adapt to that in this game.
Yeah, I would disagree that was abnormal for Thompson. I would say it was not abnormal enough, right? The Alk, sure, abnormal. We talked about it earlier. We need layers of abnormality here. Like, we need to make sure the item build is also strange. But him going Radiance was too normal.
Too standard. Fair enough, yeah.
So he needed to go something like Blink Rush or something like that to really catch him off guard if that was ever going to work.
Blink Bloodthorn.
Didn't really work, and we talked about trying something new in the first game. I feel like Gaimin also did that with the Lone Druid on Dyrachyo. They tried something new, that worked, so that can't be understated going to game number 2. You try something new, it works, and that gives you even more momentum, and especially Lone Druid, of all heroes. This is something that Ace is so good at, right? Now you're just scared of this hero when no one else is playing this hero in the entire tournament.
Yeah, and on top of that, he kind of didn't really play a perfect game as well. He had a couple of bad deaths in
good enough.
The first game, but it was still good enough for them to win. So that itself is such a big advantage. Going into the next game, do you have to use one ban to deal with it, or you have to come up with a much better solution?
Yeah, well, that's my biggest question, because Gaming Gladiators did have that respect towards Topson. In fact, that first ban they did overall in draft number 1 was that Invoker. It was very directed towards Topson. I think there's no shame in if you wanted to have that adjustment and also put the respect on the Lone Druid and go, okay, game number 2, we really weren't prepared for this. Let's try and corral them into something that's what we expect. Something that's a little bit more in the box of what we prepared over the last 4 to 5 days of Gaming Gladiators.
But will they do that, though? Because I feel like,
good question.
As Gaimin, that was your counter to the Mars, right? It was a surprise.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we can just do something new now, and now you have to prepare for something else that they might have stored.
Do you think if Tundra first picks Mars again, Gaimin will first pick Lone Druid as a response instead of going for the Mirana and risking the second?
It worked, right? Why are they going to change it? And if it doesn't work this game because you come up with another solution, good for you, Tundra. And Gaimin's going to find something else in the next game. But for now, it works.
I mean, if there's another OP hero in the pool, they might overlook the Lone Druid, but we'll see.
Well, look, the stacks of papers are out there. The players are sitting at their computer. The coaches have their headsets on. All there's left to do is get into a game number 2 draft.
Tundra Esports versus Gaming Gladiators. Game 2.
Let's see this preparation come into play here. We already talked about it. Moon had the fattest stacks of papers, but it wasn't the right preparation. That Lone Druid caught them off guard. Maybe there is a little bit more that they're prepared for. Maybe there's not going to be that second phase of gotcha.
Who knows? Maybe he was on the wrong page. So we'll have
He's
to see for this game.
a couple more through.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument, like, sometimes when you're over-prepared, it can be a little difficult as opposed to, like, having a style and knowing exactly what you want to pick. And I feel like Gaimin, they probably don't need many papers for them to draft because they all, like, have an identity. So this time, backs against the wall for Tundra here. It is upper bracket, so even if they do lose, they will go into the lower. But I think they definitely want that top 3 finish here going into this game number 2 here. But they have to make adjustments, and they have to be pretty big adjustments because that game 1 had to be a little bit shaken.
Okay, they're going to take Mars. Oh, they're not. SD. Okay.
Interesting, yeah, they decided to ban the hero that was good against Mars, but they still opted for a different opening.
Ace will not play the Mars, so they don't need to worry about banning it whatsoever. In fact, they're just kind of like waiting to see. Maybe they can still get Mars in their lineup.
Yeah, that's actually true. So they can get an OP support plus Mars.
I mean, do you really think, though? I feel like Gaimin is probably going to ban it here, unless they've come up with a couple of solutions like that. But for some reason, I doubt that they have one that's as good as the Lone Druid, because that looked like something special.
Yeah. I'd say ban it, too. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Just take it out,
You take the Sand King, you ban the Mars. We talked about before, Ramses. He loves playing these Blink Initiators. Sand King Mars are the best ones right now in the patch. So you remove both of them, you force them into something else. It's not that he can't play it, it's just definitely a weaker style of Tundra.
And there's still a Centaur if they are going to go down that route. Centaur kind of is still a very, very good hero right now with the triple bracer blade mill.
Kunkka as well. I like the Kunkka with SD. You have a pretty easy torrent boat setup, and also a lot of delaying damage in team fights, which is very nice, especially versus the Sand King.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen Ramses play Centaur at all, but he does like...
He's not played it.
He does like Slardar, he does like Dragonite. All those are still in the pool. Maybe he wants a little more information, and maybe that last pick Night Stalker has to be a perfect game for it, though.
Yeah. I do think with SD, the Centaur looks very promising, for sure. And Also, Sand King, you know, he does have Burrow Strike. That's a stun. But if you can Centaur ulti and run away from the epicenter, that's very impactful in these team fights. It's great to disengage this hero.
Centaur is also a very good disseminate target in a team fight.
Yep. So much HP when you have 5 bracers.
Look, a little food for thought after seeing the second phase of Van. The Chen is the priority for Tundra to take out of the pool, but the other position 5s or supports in general that have been really favored are Omni Knight, still in there. Snapfire, we just saw on our screen earlier as well, also really favored. And Tusk, which was banned out in that game number 1. So it's not like these two teams want to ignore it. They're very aware. It's at the forefront of their mind. And maybe you're questioning, is that what you want to pick up for yourself, either of the side of Gaming? Are you okay to let those through for Tundra?
I mean, Tusk looks really good. And I think the moment you pick Shadow Demon, you no longer want Omni on your team, and the other team doesn't want Omni either. So, like, we probably won't see Omni in this game. And we're going to give it Enigma. This is a hero that it could flex, supposedly. We've seen it before. It didn't look super good, but maybe Gaming has something cooking with this one. It can be an offlaner. Yeah, this is interesting. But just looking at Sand King already with an Enigma, this just has so many questions for me on like what they plan on doing. And they will be answered with the next 2 picks.
Isn't it just like a Chen replacement in a way?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Look at all
yes and no.
Look at all the bans from Tundra. Every single one of these heroes is a summons hero, and yet Gaiman was still able to come out of the phase picking a summons hero. This has got to be such a frustrating team to draft against. You're like, I'm just going to ban all the summons, and then they're still going to run a 5-man summons draft anyway.
Yeah, they're just trying to replicate the tempo of the game. It doesn't matter what role the hero is going to, but for now, I'm leaning more towards the Enigma going to be a 5. They've played it before, they have been successful with it.
But they haven't played it this tournament. That's what I'm
not yet.
curious about. Because they have other ways of replicating playing fast, right? And then IO is definitely one of those heroes if they want to go back to IO Lesh, stuff like that. So this is a very conscious choice. And after we saw last game too, first time Lone Druid on Duraccio, this will be first time Enigma on whoever plays it.
Yeah.
Clearly Gaiman is prepared for this and they have a strategy.
I think it's more than likely a Quinn Sand King mid with Enigma off lane. And then they see what the Tundra off lane is right now, so they can pick a 5 that's excellent against it, the Kunkka plus SD. I like the idea of an IO pairing. That sounds pretty strong with the Sand King mid to set up.
I do wonder if they've lost a little bit of faith in the IO pairing, because that was the one game that they did lose to Nouns in that upper bracket that, you know, they eventually did end up coming back in that series, but it was very exploited.
Okay, maybe they go for more like team fight and push and go for like a Jakiro. It would also do very well in the lane against the SD and the Kunkka.
I feel like you leave this Enigma mystery. And you pick your position 4 here, and you pick your carry.
Feels like a 4 elk and what, offlane Enigma. Sand King, probably you guys are right about him going mid.
I think Duraccio is playing this. Alchemist, that is. He has a hero pool that he really enjoys. I feel like it's pretty good right now. They need that frontline type of hero. I think most likely this Enigma will be either support or offlane, depending on where they want to put the Sand King. I feel like you just pick a hero right now for Tofu, and everything is still a mystery.
And do you like the elk here against the Kunkka lane?
Yeah, I think it's totally fine.
So for Tofu, you would want a hero that can potentially lane with an Enigma, but then also have the potential of the Enigma going
It's
5.
difficult. Those two heroes need different things. If you're laning with an Enigma, you want a different hero. If you're laning with Sand King, you kind of also want a different hero.
Okay, well this hero can be a 4 and a 5.
I think it's mostly Tofu here, this hero.
Yeah, Seller has not played it once this tournament yet.
I mean, that's the cool thing about these drafts. We all have a slightly different opinion of like what they might be doing. You can't know for sure. Like, it's very open-ended. It could be support Alchemist for all we know, and a mid Snapfire with a position 5 Enigma. Who really knows? Like, the best read I have is that they're going to see one more pick here, and then after that, they're going to decide where this Enigma is going to go. I think Duraccio, he has his hero pool. He does like the Alchemist. He's one of the few players that are still playing it, so he'll most likely pick that one up. You see the puck. Now I guess it's up to Quinn to really decide here.
Yeah.
Does he want to take the Sand King mid? Do they just want to throw it on the off lane, make Enigma 5, and then all of a sudden pick a new hero for the mid lane for Quinn? These are the answers that they'll have for this.
My pitch, my elevator pitch here would be that I think that with all the summons heroes banned out, the hero that they're going to get tempo through is Enigma. It's one of the few left that they could get tempo through, and I think with items, that's going to give them the tempo. If he's a 5, then they have to pick an offlaner that either wins them late or something like that, but that doesn't seem very in-game in style, or they need to pick an offlaner that also provides tempo, which like all of them are banned out.
Well, that was going to be my question, is what exactly does a support, most likely a position 5, Enigma give you? Is it purely to focus on those lanes, and you're hoping that there's this big save, ultimate black hole that does do damage in the later fights? What are you exactly waiting out for, and what window timing does he slot into that gives that advantage for Gaming to make that swap?
I think as a support position 5 Enigma, you kind of you get to farm, right? He's one of the better ones if you're talking about like farming position 5s outside Chen, Naga, and it kind of enables your team to not buy the aura, so because you can buy everything, you can farm, and everyone else can just get their core items a little bit faster, and the whole game just feels a lot faster when you have this type of support that can farm the aura items.
All right, hear me out here, all right? You're going to have Enigma 5 with Alchemist, and they're not going to really play to win the lane because it's impossible, but Enigma is going to use his Eidolons on this hero to just stack for Alchemist, and then he's just going to go head to the jungle, and then Enigma will just try to hold the lane. Because I really think this Enigma's 5.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
They're banning mids too. Like, sure, you see Ricky, and you're like, that's a mid. That is a mid against Puck. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Dragonite or a Void Spirit get banned out on the next one. Void Spirit seems like an incredibly good ban. You are playing versus Conka and a Puck.
Yeah, Shadow Demon plus all the backline supports very vulnerable towards the Aghanim's from Void Spirit. I mean, they're definitely lacking a hero that can deal with the Puck. And all the heroes that they have right now, they're not exactly the best at catching Puck.
Or maybe there's a better support that adheres to the let's try and lock down and catch the Puck, and now it's even better
about
argument.
Lion? Something like a Lion?
I was
saying Lion without saying Lion.
I was thinking about Lion or Skywrath. Either of those two heroes, they kind of do the same thing. Sky would give you more burst. Lion would give you less of a terrible hero. But it does make the lane a little bit weird, because then that would be like Sky Enigma or Lion Enigma, which is very strange. They do go for the Void Spirit ban, so they're thinking of a Puck answer from the mid lane, which I agree with. I think that's the most likely here.
Now it comes down to, is that mid counterpick to Puck mid worth picking, right? Or do you just throw the Sand King mid and do what you guys are talking about? A lot is going to be in the pool still. I think versus Puck, is there no Monkey's banned? Okay, Dragonite's the last thing I can really think about that does really well versus Puck in the mid lane. Maybe there's more, like
Tiny. I like that.
Sure. I mean, we saw snipers as well.
Oh, now I really like Tiny.
Yeah, Drow's going to be that last pick for Tundra. That's going to be their carry, so Pure will be picking it up for themselves. And you're saying the Tiny, once coming out of that mid lane, it's going to be able to really jump on top of the Drow and just burst her? Is that the idea that you're having towards what he can do out of the lane?
You toss her in. I mean, she doesn't like to be... she's all about positioning. Tiny's the best hero at disrupting positioning. It beats the Puck in lane. It can jump the back line, SD and the Tusk, and one-shot these heroes. It does make it so that that flex we're talking about happens, which is a bit weird. You end up with an Enigma plus a Snapfire lane, or Celery is going to play Snap for the first time in the tournament, and it's not going to be Tofu, and then they'll have a different lane on the safe lane. Like, it just leads to some weird flexes, but I guess I trust Tundra's read that there's a mid laner coming out of game in here.
I will say Enigma offlane just got a lot better. Even if it is at the sacrifice of like a Sand King going support, if they really want to go that route. Unlikely, but possible. I'm really thinking, if I'm gaming, how can I make this Enigma work in the offlane? If not, then just go ahead and pick a mid for Quinn here.
So it's a Quinn, sorry, it's a Quinn. It's a mid or a 5 is what we're thinking now.
5 or 4, yeah.
5 or 4.
Depending how they want to flex the Snapfire.
There's just way too many options.
It's a very open-ended draft, yeah.
Which is good and bad.
If they want, they could put Alchemist on position 4th Enigma too. Like, who really knows?
Don't keep going, please, Theo.
So Sand King's going mid here.
Yeah.
Underlord's very good against Drow in the game. Pretty good in the lane as well. Underlord plus Snapfire. Pretty good amount of damage with your spells. It's pretty good at stopping the snowball save with the pit. Pretty good against Puck as well with the root.
Yeah, we were thinking a little bit too like one-to-one counter. I think Underlord gives them a very solid timing in the game. Celery on Enigma can go for like the drums Vlads, maybe do the thing that Fear was talking about, where the alt goes in jungles and then Celery takes the lane, gets some net worth that way, and then Ace can go for the other aura items, which is the Greaves and the Pipe, and that'll give them a really solid timing where at that point, Dyrachyo and Alk should have Radiance plus like 1.5 items, and I think that's a really good point for them to get the tempo and win the game.
Fear, I'm going to need you to give the Tundra fans out there a little bit of hope that we're going to get a Game 3, that they're going to be able to secure Game 2 for this with this draft for themselves.
Sure, I mean, Thompson's going to have a great laning stage. He's laning for Sand King, should be pretty easy. He's going to get some runes, go across the map, gets also kill. Ramses has absolutely free lane on the Kunkka. He'll be able to make some rotations as well, win the lane, and he's going to be very, very farmed. He'll get his fast Blade Mail, fast Pipe, or the Aghanims. I suspect a lot from Ramses this game.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're leaving it on that note, because we're going to head on down to the stage with Slacks and our Tundra coach, Moon.
Hello, Copenhagen. That is right. We're ready for our next game here. I have Moon. Give it up for Moon. Fantastic. Good to see you again, my friend. It's a pleasure as always.
Yep.
All right. So you banned Brood. You banned Chen.
Yes.
You banned Lone Druid.
Yes.
Any reason why?
Well, these guys won Riyadh using Zoo Heroes, so we figured ban the Zoo Heroes as many as we can.
Do you think you banned enough to get away with it? You guys have less Zoo to deal with now?
I mean, they still picked Enigma, and they're still abusing auras of Underlord, so we'll see.
All right, fantastic. Now, what did you say to the boys after that first game? It was a little tough, a little rough. You know, you've been in this situation before. You're a consummate professional. Did you say anything to get their heads back into the game?
So it's okay, guys. We just played 2 best of 1s after.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. And we're going to see that Sand King coming out first there. How's the thoughts on the Sand King? We saw some crazy Sand King earlier today. Will we see just as nuts of a Sand King here today?
Well, Maureen is the Grandmaster Sand King, and Soul is 33. But Quinn is a Silver level 6 Sand King, so this guy's a noob Sand King.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. Well, we'll see if those words live up. Best of luck to you, my friend. It's going to be one heck of a series that we'll be throwing over to our casters.
Quinn's a noob. Today I learned.
That's definitely not getting clipped out of context. Good way to start that one. Setting yourself up for failure has always been one of your strong suits.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, fan.
What a
Thank
nice
you.
sign. How wholesome.
Now cross out Syndarin's name.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's probably the thing you should be doing, yeah. What a switch up. Can I just say, this is 9 new heroes compared to last game, and if you want to count that the Alchemist is on the opposite team, it's actually 10.
Yep.
So complete switch up. We were talking about how Tundra needed to make some adjustments. They made all the adjustments they possibly could. They didn't even prioritize their own Mars as number 1. They went for the Shadow Demon on Saksa, which, in my opinion, might be one of Saksa's top 3 best heroes of all time, together with his Tusk, and I don't know what the third one is. I should not have dug that hole.
Okay, good job.
But definitely those 2. His Shadow Demon is amazing. On the same side of Gaming Gladiators, they have, you know, a lot of their bread and butter. They've got the Underlord, which is one of their best heroes. I would say the Celery Enigma is a bit of a deviation. He plays this hero very well, but I don't know how sold I am on this playing into an off-lane Kunkka. This should be a very, very good lane matchup for the side of Tundra this time around, and I think no matter what happens, it's very unlikely to follow the same trajectory of the previous game, right? Like, the lineups are just too different.
Well, you say that now. I'm not sure. We'll see.
I might have to eat those words in 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, Gaimin have, it feels like they're predictably unpredictable in a way, where you know the kind of strat they're going to be using, but you don't know how they're going to do it exactly. Like with what heroes. Let's see if they can do it with 5 brand new heroes. But they do play fast pretty much every single time.
Yeah.
So Tundra's all about defending. I mean, what is the best strat against Gaimin, would you say? Just like as a mindset? Like, get to a certain point of the game and we're golden kind of thing, or?
I definitely think the number one thing you don't do is be too greedy. I think that's the biggest Achilles heel that a lot of the teams, and I want to say especially the Chinese region, has struggled with against Gaming Gladiators the last 2 years, is that they have picked 2 weak lanes and heroes that need to farm too much.
Yeah.
And then they lose the lanes and they lose the mid game and they never get to play their lineup. So I think the number one foundation playing as this team is you need to be competitive in lanes. You don't have to win them, but you need to do well enough that you can get to stage 2 of the game, and then you need to out-execute them in particular, I would say, in one team fight. if you beat these guys in one team fight between minute 15 and 20, a lot of the time that can be enough. We've seen Gaimin bleed at this tournament in multiple games where a team just outplays them once or twice, and the script kind of falls apart. The problem is that they're so extremely good at playing this way that you really have to bring your A game, whereas maybe against certain other teams in this tournament, you can, play maybe at 85% of your potential and it might cut it. Against Gaimin, you generally need to bring like 95 plus. It's a very tight window you need to hit every game.
Well, the winner of this series gets the pleasure of facing off against Team Liquid, which Gaimin versus Liquid would be what, the 100th time this year, I think? And Liquid have lost every single time, basically.
If you're in the audience or you're watching at home and you're like, Liquid versus Gaimin, I've never seen that match before. That is the ultimate self-report that you've not followed Dota for 2 years. So don't say that around your friends that you're trying to impress, unless you're trying to impress them with how much other stuff you do aside from watching Dota.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a life, congratulations. You're in the minority here, for sure.
Right,
so
let's insult the audience again. The Sunsfan Classic. Disruption into Torrent. But they're not going to pursue.
There it is. As we have a concoction from Duraccio with the acid spray being laid down for Ramses. Just a little bit of harassment back and forth. Already 2 stacks of Shadow Poison from Soxa, though, onto Celery. And the third will connect. He's going to pop the stick. Blood Grenade applied as well. Not able to get the fourth, though, as Soxa eventually run down. And Celery will take a bit of damage here, but should be able to survive. So first blood for Gaimin again.
And I would say a little bit of an unexpected one of the kind. This was not the first lane I was expecting to see a kill in, and if it were, it would maybe have been potentially on the Enigma. But yeah, as the side of Tundra, got to be a little bit careful with throwing out all your spells just to harass, because you're opening a counterplay possibility for the Alchemist immediately there, and they will take advantage of that. So probably lesson learned here for the side of Soxa and Ramses. Unfortunately, when you're playing against an Alchemist Enigma lane, just getting that level 3 on Enigma is already a very big deal, and he's managed to do this without too much of an issue. So I think once again, Gaimin are going to be pretty happy with the start that they've had.
So from Tundra's perspective, what is their, like, I don't want to say time limit. We're going to see Pit of Malice applied. Oh, okay, nice snowball to mitigate some of this, but they're both going to get rooted again. Big Scatterblast to follow. Pure now on the run. But Whitemon will have his fat body in the way, so no harm done in the end.
What do you think about Drow attacking Underlord and his health bar moving 1%? Do you think Pure's enjoying that, or?
Well, depends on if he's a masochist or not, I suppose.
Should I pick Queen of Pain then?
Perhaps ask him after this series is over. Note for Nomad.
Whether he wins or loses, did you enjoy when you couldn't damage the enemy off later? Did it remind you of Poor Man's Shield from before you were born?
You know, the funny thing is, I'm completely segueing here. It's not related at all to what you just said. When I think of Ace as a player, Cinder, I actually think of Underlord. I know he plays a lot of heroes, but Underlord is, like, for some reason, his signature that I think of.
I would agree with that in particular because it's the hero he plays the most that others don't, right? I think that's why it stands out, is that he prioritizes it so much more than every other team in this tournament. And there was, I also think a part of it is when Gaimin kind of made a name for themselves, Underlord was one of their pocket strategies in the beginning. And then it just became a standard strategy that everybody came to expect. But it was one of the, I believe it was one of the first, I'm blanking on which tournament it was. It was when the, it was when we got the bigger map, I think.
Yeah.
They ran this almost immediately with great success because he has a global ability and he is able to farm a lot, buy auras, and take advantage of all of this new potential.
Yeah, Fiend's Gate has really changed how this hero, well, not really. It's changed the way the hero plays in the mid game where you're actually transitioning to other lanes as opposed to before. I feel like it was more of a getaway. You'd rarely see it used.
Yeah.
The old ult, which I can't, it was Dark Rift, actually, I do believe. But of course, Cinderin had a great idea for an ult for Underlord, sent it to Ice Frog, and they put it in the game.
Which it turns out someone else had that idea 10 years earlier on the Play Dota forums, but you know, I'll take credit.
That's what they tell you to make you feel bad, Cinderin. It was all you.
All right, you're a good friend. Occasionally.
Pure, okay.
When you really try.
Duraccio.
Classic Duraccio ganks through the gate.
And that's going to be a stun on himself as Pure going to get cooked by Tofu.
Shards.
Shards going to force Whitemon away. And Pure, he's taking a decent amount of damage, but more rotations come from Soxa and company. So this little wraparound from Gaimin not able to find a kill.
Really good play from both teams, though, to be honest. I think the rotation from Dyrachyo there was not an obvious play, so that initiation to begin with was quite clever, but Tundra did a very good job line of sighting him, so he's done himself, and then Whitemon with some really crucial ice shards blocking off Enigma from finding Malefice onto Drow, which would have been a 100% kill.
You mentioned this matchup. Ramses is 50-14 versus Dyrachyo's 31-5.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think it would be this bad. That's pretty crazy.
Fortunately, Quinn has a haste run and he'll go kill the enemy carry, so Dyrachyo's still far ahead of Pure. And now they're going to dive
Whitemon cookied up.
He's
gets
level
the snowball.
5.
Yeah. Onto the siege.
And he's
but he is surrounded and will eventually be killed off. Only question is who will get credit for it. It will be Ace. And now the tier 1 tower is next.
Straight back to mid for Quinn. Job well done. He got 2 kills on the bottom lane, and now he's going to get back to defend his tower and farm. Easily top net worth in the game. Maybe Moon inspired him a lot with that great speech. Moon has been known for his speeches.
Oh, yeah.
And he really lit a fire onto Quinn, saying he's bad at this hero because he's only level 6.
Yeah, Quinn definitely heard that through the soundproof.
That's a fair point, but sometimes you just feel the vibe. You know, he saw Moon. Okay, he saw Moon walk out onto the stage to be interviewed, and he knew what it was about. He didn't need to hear anything.
That's fair. I've heard enough of them.
Yeah.
A nice block off here as Quinn actually cannot get to the low ground. Will Burrow strike Thompson though, who waning rifts away. Soxa.
Good thing.
Rotation over as well. Thompson will be able to get away and secure the invisibility rune.
And we even tried to get that kill with a deep, with the full bore scatterblast, but not quite from Tofu. He had already jaunted away on the puck, so still looking like a good start for Gaming Gladiators, which is, you know, how it tends to go in a lot of their games.
Yeah.
But I will say in comparison to the previous game, as I mentioned, the nature of the strategies are very different, and I wonder if Gaming can still find this balling up window. They're going to be relying on a different nature of building the auras. As the panel talked about, Celery can buy them on Enigma, but I think it's likely he'll get them slower than on Chen. He won't have that global heal, which is an addition to that aura strategy. Instead now of the Brood, they're running the Underlord, which I would say on average farms slower than Brood, so I think it's a bit of a plan B as well. So all in all, probably not going to hit the exact same window, but it could still be the same trajectory just 5 minutes later. And Tundra will do everything in their power to try to avoid that. Currently what Thompson's doing mid is very good for that.
That's
almost taking the mid-tier tier 1 tower on the puck minute 9.
Drinking buddies with the coil attached. Oh, he actually does not break it. He's still in the high ground. The snowball does secure the kill, but Ace has come in with the Pit of Malice now onto Whitemon, who's eventually going to get chased out, so it will likely just be a 1-for-1 trade.
Here's a shovel! Damn!
As the Firestorm and the
efficiency.
Necro Book will assist.
Yep. In case you don't know what that is, it says that it summons Necronomicon units, and it's on you to Google what that means.
That's right.
That's information for old players. If you're a young or a new player in Dota 2, certain things are just...
So there's a rite of passage in Dota.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just got to look it up.
That is a very good way of phrasing it. So mid-tier 1 down. Thompson will get the mid-tier 1 tower sub 10 minutes as puck. I want to say that's very, very unusual. So took good advantage of the fact that Quinn was rotating to put some pressure on the tower and just never left. He's kept pushing this tower the whole time. He's still 1,000 gold behind the Sand King, which I find quite surprising. But, you know, it's Sand King. So maybe I shouldn't be surprised that even though you have barely left your lane on the puck.
It's Quinn Sand King, as Moon put it, right? As Whitemon, he's going to break this smoke. Tofu and Quinn. Okay, he actually puts down a ward as well.
Oh, he walks into them.
Yeah, they see him in the trees. Can he juke? Oh, Burrow Strike missed.
He can.
Quinn Sand King, as the great Moon Meander once said 10 minutes ago.
You learn this stun on level 10 as Sand King. I don't mean hero level, but of course Dota Plus level.
Yeah, Dota Plus.
Very unfortunate he was actually level 10. That made the joke really bad.
I was going to say, I think Silver is level 10. There's Moon Meander on the bottom right as we have a gank here. Quinn, he's going to get the Burrow Strike correctly used here as Whitemon will take a tumble.
It was just a setup to bait more heroes to rotate and then make the same play again.
And Thompson, just being a bit of an annoyance, will use the Illusory Orb to jaunt away. So he's going for the Witchblade. You can see Dyrachyo, obviously the Alchemist Radiance, no big surprise. I mean, I guess last game was kind of up in the air what Thompson wanted to go for just because it was a mid, but position 1, pretty much always going to be Radiance.
Now, on the other side, you mentioned the Kunkka. He's top net worth in the game over an Alk who has 70 CS minute 11. So Ramses has got 125, including 2 massive stacks in their own area. So really prioritizing getting an early pipe on him. And it seems to be the mindset here for Tundra. Similar to previous game, just that in the sense that they want to defend their towers. But I think this time around, Ramses can find a much, much bigger impact with how good of an early start he has. You add the rum to that from the Ghost Ship. And they have some amazing teamfight combos with the Puck plus Coil.
Speaking of Coil, will be used. Thompson's already kind of low on HP as the Fiend's Gate's coming. Mortimer's Kisses doing a decent amount of work as Ramsey's going to get stuck inside of the pit. The Burrow Strike will be there as well. He gets drinking buddies though. Soxa will self-disrupt. Likely will fall here as the black hole comes from Celery. That's the death of Soxa, and Ramsey's probably next on the list. Indeed he is. And they even find Thompson on the other side. So Gaming Gladiators, they look at their HP. Like nobody's even damaged here basically. It's a 3 for nothing.
You've got to be super careful with fight selection. They have some good skirmishing heroes, but yeah, as you said, the damage isn't really the best just yet. Puck needs the Witchblade. You ideally need a couple more levels on the Shadow Demon and the Tusk to pull this off. And when you're playing offlane utility Kunkka with Pipe first, this hero doesn't deal good damage. That was a 5-on-4. Pure never joined, so they're missing that carry output. To be fair, I don't think he should have joined. I just think they shouldn't have taken that initiation to begin with. And Gaming Gladiators say, thank you very much for going on us. We're going to gate in and just crush you with numbers. That was very, very easy. You got to be careful as Tundra already now. That was a very big mistake. And that snowballs fast.
It was a 2K lead for Gaimin before that with Alchemist, so probably roughly even. 6K now after one fight. It snowballs really fast.
Yeah.
Dyrachyo, Sacred Relic in tow, just about 100 away from finishing.
Actually,
full Radiance
has
now.
it. I wonder why maybe he's waiting for the TP scroll as well, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be a 13-minute Radiance. Not the fastest, but it's solid. And overall, the course of the game is fine for
It's
them.
off the X. The Torrent did not hit, but they should have enough damage. Obviously, Celery without the Black Hole still.
This is such a slow kill, though. Still,
Yeah, they just don't have damage, do they?
Yeah.
I mean, Drow is going to be their damage if Pure can get there.
Yeah, there's a reason this hero hasn't been particularly popular this tournament. She's not that great in lane. She's not that fast to come online. And in a meta where a lot of teams are focusing on fighting around that 15 to 20 minute mark to really build their advantage, Drow is just pretty far down the list of heroes that I think is appealing for that. So maybe Tundra.
Well, I think I could be wrong, of course. Usually am, in fact. If they get to a later stage of the game, Aghanim Scepter for Drow is crazy against basically any Gaming Gladiators lineup. Right?
She is very good.
Hypothermia, very strong.
For sure. But again, as we've talked about in the previous series, this is the mistake that a lot of teams make against Gaimin, is that they think too far into the game.
Yeah.
I think against this team, you should think about what's our strategy for the first 20 minutes, then you drill that, figure out how you do it, and then whatever comes after is second consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I think any lineup where you're planning for minute 40 is a mistake. Once the 20-minute goal has been achieved, then you can start planning for minute 40. And, well, right now, came in with a 7,000 gold lead, and the dive here.
He's spotted. Concoction's coming for him with the Burrow Strike and the Epicenter. Nice disruption from Soxa. Going to mitigate a ton of that damage. The Kunkka's stuck inside the pit, though, as Soxa's facing the rain of Dyrachyo, who will eventually run him down. Ramses is actually the first to fall, though, as Soxa somehow living this long,
across,
but not for much longer. So it is 2 kills for Gaimin.
I don't think Soxa meant to disrupt the Sand there. I think he actually misclicked and wanted to disrupt the Kunkka, because the Epicenter as well as the Sandstorm were still running, so the disruption actually didn't do that much. But in all honesty, I don't know if it really matters. I think if he saves him for another 5 seconds, what's that going to do? He got all of his spells out in the Kunkka. The simple version of this is they just can't fight. There's not enough in the tank right now versus this incredibly strong mid-game lineup that Gaming Gladiators have right now. 10,000 gold, minute 16. Remember when I said it was going to be the exact same game as the last one? Everybody remembers that.
Waning Rift onto 2, Thompson with very little mana, and there is the Pit of Malice. He's going to use the phase shift and be able to Illusory Orb out. The Whitemon, nice block, but there's not going to be any follow-up. I mean, Pit of Malice against any mobility hero is so hard to deal with.
It's a problem when the highlights for Tundra right now is not dying. I was like, that was a good play because Puck got away. That really seems to be the state of the game. Pure, let's see if he can make a good play and escape this one.
Yep, he's going to attempt to TP out, but the Burrow Strike from Quinn and the Scatter Blast eviscerates him.
Oh, Thompson already jaunted.
Thompson will have to use his coil in retreat. He's going to take a drinking buddies and run away.
The fact that he jaunted already is going to force him to use ult. So now they don't have that either if they were ever planning on anything. I suppose with the current game state and their inability to fight, I guess it doesn't really matter that much having the key cooldown on that. In a lot of other situations, that would have been a bigger deal.
Oh boy,
where are they going?
Five-man gate to kill Saksa! Get wrecked! They really hate him! And now the mid lane, they will try to push their advantage even more. And they haven't even gone for the first Roche yet. This has just spiraled out of control. Quinn gonna force Thompson out again. And he now
find
has
Ramsey's top as well. I wonder if there's going to be any rotation here. This is going to be a quite long chase, but they're going to start it off with a pit. TP coming in from Sand King and out from the south.
Yeah,
Ramsey's.
And Quinn has now made his way over. This should be the death of Ramses again.
Surrounded
Actually
on
uses
all
his
sides.
boat. But yeah, Tundra. Ooh, this is looking really rough. I was expecting, I mean, obviously it could get turned around here, but ever since we mentioned that Pure was the best player in this tournament, Cinderin.
You should have never said it.
You agreed with me. You're part of this curse.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
Like, do I look good in this shirt?
Boy.
Yeah, you do. But
Black Hole ensures yet another kill. Whitemon tried for some sort of a save, but he might just get run down as well. Meanwhile, they are just dropping like flies. Epicenter not going to do that much damage because of the disruption as Pure trying to keep Quinn at arm's length, but his arms are really gangly and long, Cinderin. He's going to get the Burrow Strike and the kill.
This is a good opportunity to learn.
He has ridiculous wingspan.
what if Gaimin were tricking everyone the whole tournament into banning their second best strategy? And now they gave them their best strategy by banning all their heroes.
The kisses come from very far away. Quinn with a double kill. My goodness, this is not even remotely close. What happened? This is the upper bracket semis.
Yep.
Gaimin are making Tundra look just awful. But Gaimin, they are just on another level right now, it feels like. They get the tier 3. And now looking for their first set of racks at 19 minutes. No Roche even attempted yet, by the way.
They feel invincible. They're just way too
feels
tanky
like
on
they
their
are.
heroes. Sand King Bloodstone, you put a Solar Crest on him, you have Underlord next to him with Greaves. You have Glimmer on the Snapfire. The Alchemist himself already has a Manta as well, so he has a self-dispel when he gets jumped on to be in front and cause confusion. I mean, it's like a broken record, but genuinely, Tundra cannot fight. It's just not possible. So what do? This is the catch-22 you face yourself with in a lot of Gaming Gladiators games is, well, when the early game goes poorly and you reach this mid-game and you can't fight them, what is your plan, actually?
Yeah.
Are you going to play keep away and try to out-farm them and just dodge them? Are you even going to be able to match their farming speed in that case because they control 75% of the map? Are you going to just YOLO into a fight and hope for the best? What if they never split up so you can't get a skirmish?
Oh boy. Pure gets stunned. Whitemon doing a nice job of blocking off one hero, but the problem is there's many others to contest with. That's going to be 2 quick kills again for Gaimin. It is 19-2. And coming into this, Tundra have been looking really good too.
Yep.
So it just goes to show. And it's funny, every time we cast Gaming Gladiators, like, oh, this is a really bad matchup for the other team. They can't handle it. What's a good matchup against Gaimin? That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, how many tournaments have we seen them have a semi-slow start, which was also the case in the Road to International this time. It wasn't like that a flawless group stage or anything.
Yeah.
They've just learned from the games they lost. They've come to the right conclusions, as they seem to do in general. And they've leveled up super hard. So it's not necessarily the other teams having a poor showing or being worse. It's just Gaming Gladiators are bringing a completely different level to the table than they did on day one.
Yeah.
And now you're the ones who need to play catch-up. In this game, unlikely to happen, but of course, this is an upper bracket match, so you have a second shot as Tundra unless you pull off the most ridiculous comeback of this tournament while being down 20k Goldman at 21.
Yeah.
Unless you can somehow find this way. The silver lining is there's a lot of tape to study, a lot to learn, and arguably this is more than likely going to be the hardest matchup you're playing until you might meet them again ultimately.
Most likely, that is correct. Dyrachyo, okay. Do they have the damage to kill him off? No. Oh, he mances off the X. Wow.
Oh my god.
Perfect timing, and now the runaround is here. Quinn, the Epi, gonna slow Ramses to a crawl. The black hole, everybody's just having their own separate fights, Cinderin. Thompson is dead, Ramses is next. As Celery eventually will fall. That is the third kill for Tundra now. Soxa gets beat down to a pulp. And it looks like Pure and company will just have to try and run away. As Whitemon inside. Okay.
Couple
buybacks. They absolutely have to get a kill here on a core hero. Nice disruption from Soxa to dodge the concoction, but it's going to be probably too little too late. So we do have the 3-2-2, by the way. Let's hear some cheers in the crowd for that. As Pure with the gust, stuck inside to get drinking buddies. Snowball back into it, though he gets rooted again. Oh dear, that is not what you want to see.
It was better than not snowballing, because then they would have both been stunned. Now it was only the Drow that died.
Yeah, screw the Drow.
All right.
And Gaimin, again, no Roche attempt in this game. They are not afraid to continue on here. Here comes the boat from Ramses. He's been trying to work on this Aghanim Scepter for quite a while, but it is not coming together for him. The punch into the air, Quinn taking very little damage. He's unkillable at this point. Ramses been rooted 3 or 4 times in this engagement, it feels like, as the coil already used, and they just stood there because they don't do any damage. And the second Rax is upon Gaimin to claim for themselves. As Tundra can only look on, although Gaimin are backing away. Perhaps a soft reset. Another beautiful Manta, man.
What was that game called where you had to Manta dodge things? Training Polygon? He's been playing that. He's been playing Training Polygon.
All right, so what is your voice line? Since we have plenty of time to talk now, what does your voice line mean exactly?
It means cheers.
It means cheers?
Yes.
Okay, that's something that people, hold that thought. Celery, okay. Got a lot of kisses going on. He's actually basically making out with them with so many kisses. Get a room already as Ramses stuck in a horrible position. They're just going to call it GG. Gaimin Gladiators absolutely destroy Tundra 2-0. And they're going to go to the upper bracket finals here at TI to face off against Team Liquid.
And if you showed up in the audience tonight and you were like, man, we have to get dinner before we watch this show or the restaurants are going to be closed, I have good news for you. It's 8 minutes to 9. So you might still be able to get a dinner order in because Gaimin Gladiators, they're hungry. They want to get out of here as fast as possible so they can enjoy a delightful meal after already completely munching on Tundra in the most one-sided game of the entire day. What a complete beatdown.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at this stage of the tournament. This is like a group stage match. I mean, Gaimin Gladiators, like we talked about, just on another level right now. And it might have something to do with how aggressively Quinn chews his chewing gum, because it's, look at him. Like, it's very aggressive. Look at the jaw movement. Very precise. Yeah. Look at him.
Yeah.
What a good lad. So Gaimin Gladiators 2-0 in a fashion we were not expecting. So Tundra go to the lower bracket, like we talked about. This is not an elimination series. I mean, looking ahead just real quickly, Cinderin, don't go on one of your monologues, but Gaimin Gladiators versus Liquid. What are you expecting this time?
Closer than this.
Oh, okay.
There you go. There's my non-monologue answer.
That's very good.
It might just be, you know, both teams play fast. They play aggressive in the early game. I think it's the best match for Gaimin Gladiators right now with how they're playing, but unfortunately, historically, it's not a great matchup for Liquid most of the time. But they've been better against them this year than last year. So I think that could be really exciting when we get there.
Yep. I mean, they've had enough time to face each other to learn a lot over the last couple of years. So I'm sure they're going to have some juicy stuff for us. But I believe we have an interview. Let's take a look.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. I'm here with the winning team's captain. It is Celery. Celery, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, pretty good. What about you?
Not bad. I mean, what happened? Did you have like a dinner reservation to get to or something? That was ridiculous.
Nah, we got some nice heroes. I was surprised. We lost 20 scrims in a row, but now we're back, I guess.
You lost 20 scrims in a row, and then you come to this. I mean, I guess losing is learning. You did a lot of learning.
I guess so.
All right. I mean, but seriously though, like, what caused this absolute smackdown of a series? You know, what do you see in the series that went so well for you and went so wrong for Tundra?
I'm not sure. We just had a really nice game. Lanes, we were just able to play our game. They played a bit too slow for how we like to play. And I think we just executed really well. I'm very proud of how we played.
Very well. I mean, you should be, because this was an absolutely dominating performance. And now you're going into the upper bracket finals like this. Are you expecting the same thing to happen tomorrow against Liquid?
No, it's never easy. I'm sure Liquid is ready. They saw us too many times. I'm sure they're ready this time.
All right, Celery, thank you very much. And finally from me then, have you got anything else up your sleeve which you're yet to show us at this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of nice threats. We have a Danish coach, so he's super excited. So give it up for CY.
Give it up for CY. Give it up for Gaming Gladiators. And give it up for Celery as they secure themselves top 3 at the International. And we will throw it back to our panel. Thank you, Celery.
Thank you both so much. All about Gaming Gladiators fans in the arena, loving that series because it was a phenomenal 2-0. There is no other way to put this. There was a massive skill difference. I don't know, Jenkins, if it was an aspect of a completely different Tundra that we saw 5 days ago, or if there's 20 scrim losses in a row, or exactly what Gaming needed to be able to come in so confidently and know what they wanted to draw, what worked for them.
I'm going to be honest, I feel like at this point, Gaimin doesn't even know what makes Gaimin win because every tournament that they end up winning or doing very well at, usually you hear that same narrative where it's like, we just keep losing scrims. We can't win.
Yeah.
They're all giga depressed. And then somehow
on the first day of groups, I asked CY, I was like, bro, how is scrims coming into this? He goes, I don't want to talk about it.
He was so depressed.
He went to walk away from me. That's how little he wanted to talk about it.
I have a theory about this. I think that Dyrachyo just gets bored. He gets bored of scrims, and you see it in the game, in the Lone Druid game. It was too easy, so he walks into the enemy triangle alone and then dies. You know, he gets bored, but when he's engaged, when he gets a hero that he really likes, when he's, you know, I don't know what's going on with him, but he played this game flawlessly.
His game was definitely showing off with the Manta dodge with the X-Mark, and he disassembled his Radiance when he got disrupted, you know.
I mean, that's a real theory, by the way. Like, when I played with Sumel as well, we lost every single scrim. He wasn't trying. Then we get on to the actual tournament. He actually tries, and we're a different team. So, not saying that's what's happening here, but...
It's a theory that's working.
It's a theory, and it doesn't have to be Dyrachyo. It could be anyone, right? Like, sometimes in scrims, you don't have the same energy. And then when all of a sudden everyone's trying, and it's an official game, things just start to click. And when you're playing a style that Gaimin is playing, when things click, it clicks really hard, and all of a sudden you're in a situation where you can just win the game very easily based off of the heroes they draft for themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of that, we weren't really sure about this Enigma. We had a really long conversation in this game number 2 draft of where it could be flexed to, what are even the advantages of putting it on that support, and now that you see it, despite this black hole being a big cooldown to play around winter, it was really effective against the puck. Celery's only job was find this puck, black hole him, we win game.
I don't even think like the game actually got to that point. I'm sure he did it a couple of times, but the game was kind of already over before that. After the laning phase, I felt like Kanka did well. You know, he was winning his lane against the Enigma plus the Elk, but somehow after that stage, they kind of ran into damage issues. They made a gank in mid lane. They tried to kill Queen when he was rushing a dagger. Imagine that, you know, you're trying to gank a hero that just rush dagger.
Yeah, he had 2 bracers.
And you
that
can't
was his build.
kill the guy, you know. Like, the amount of mental damage it does to you, and you know you're going to run into a lot of problems after that. They lost a couple of heroes, and the game just balled out of control. You know, the Elk just came up with his Radiance and destroyed everybody.
Yeah, I mean, then Tundra are put in this position, they're trying to do damage control, right? They're trying to make use of what little map they have available, and yet somehow Gaming Gladiators are still in the right spot sphere to be able to pick them off, to make sure no farm's happening. Somehow it felt like all 5 of them were all over the map, everywhere.
Yeah, it started on that bottom lane. It was like 5 or 6 minutes of the game. I see the Alchemist and Enigma just rotate down there. And speaking of the Enigma, he was the one that made that rotation too. Dyrachyo stuns himself. They just walk away on the Drow, but then Quinn comes in after, and they just keep fighting after and after, and just huge disparity in items between these two supports here. This Enigma, this is what he does best. He might not have the best laning stage, but after the laning stage, if you can stabilize, you can build these aura items, and this is the difference they have with the net worth advantage here. They get their spells available, use the gate from the Underlord, you pop these early drums in, and like, where is your damage from Tundra? You just don't have any. Drow doesn't have much damage. Kunkka's damage is okay in the early game. Puck's damage should be good as well, but Topson's not even in this fight, really. So I really feel like Topson had a good laning stage. So did the Kunkka on Ramses, but they didn't really translate that into winning any of these early fights. And the moment your two top net worth heroes in the game aren't making things happen on the map, you're just giving space for this Underlord and Enigma to buy all the auras in the game, and now all of a sudden you have no damage.
I do want to shout out Celery, by the way. The Obs did a quick zoom in on the map of that play that we just saw, the mini-map, and I saw that he drew a line to the Ancients. They didn't have any vision. They just assumed that because Tundra wasn't showing for a long time and they had already cleared out the triangle, that there was another Ancient stack that they were farming at the time. And the read was correct. It was literally just a game read completely. And that play like blew the game wide open.
Yeah. Well, guys, I love your opinions. I love listening to you. But there is someone else we also all love hearing from, and that's our weatherman Purge. So let's head on down to him.
Thanks, Nat. Yeah, amazing game from Gaming Gladiators. Very solid series. And the one thing about them that's really been a key identifier for the last year or two is how well they group up as a squad as soon as a fight happens. In this 12-minute mark here, Quinn just had a read, I'm going to go mid and I'm going to engage on Puck. And what happens is everybody on Gaming Gladiators shows up. Everyone is contributing at this point in the game. And this just creates really good circumstances. Look at Ace, he's constantly pushing out the bot lane, getting farm, getting last hits. If Drow shows up, he zones her. That's impactful for their net worth. Even Duraccio giving up some, look at this juicy stack. He's going to leave this to go team fight. I would never do that. That's why he's Duraccio, though. He shows up to the fight, and he's going to contribute to the fight in a really huge way. Sorry, well, let me zoom forward a little bit. Landing stuns on the backline. The kisses as well going on the backline was great. Even Celery got to utilize his ultimate. It's just worth it for them to always show up to these fights, especially in a circumstance where their opponents have less damage. And then from there, once they get a gold advantage, they take towers. This basically blows the game open. This allows them to play in the mid lane, and then they also get to invade. They a mere 3 minutes later, they have a 7k gold advantage. They put an aggressive ward down. Watch how the start of this team fight begins. They see one hero, and that basically is the go motion. All of a sudden, Ramsey sees everybody on the enemy team. The Underlord's jumping in. Tofu's doing a great job. He's basically getting vision in this area with his ulti, because he knows that's where heroes are going to stand. And then from there, they just get to run at their opponents, because their opponents just don't have the damage. Pure had a rough laning stage on Drow Ranger. He's supposed to be facilitated by maybe Tusk third skill, but he's scared because he's getting ran at 15 minutes. The Radiance timing hits as well, and all of a sudden, the game is just over. So maybe a little bit of outdraft that put Tundra in this position with these low damage heroes, but ultimately Gladiators group together at the right time and they punish it.
Thank you, Purge. Pretty much the trifecta there of being able to outdraft, outplay, and outskill your opponent. And the biggest question is, for those who are to come up against Gaming Gladiators in the rest of this tournament, how do you mirror that? How do you match up to that? And how are you able to also bring what they're bringing to the table at the moment? Because it feels like there's not a lot of answers. The only team that comes to mind right now that were able to do that were Nouns, and they're unfortunately no longer in the tournament.
Well, I could tell you probably what Moon would say about that previous
In
game.
hindsight now.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
And that is that for that play that happened mid, where Celery hit the big black hole, and it was just a complete disaster. I think Pure was farming on the Drow, right? But he needed to show up. Like, given the deficit that they were at, they needed the carry to show up, or they wait for Topson's Witchblade. Like, basically, they had some damage issues because maybe the lanes didn't go so well, and so they need to get to the next thing or bring extra people. And against Gaming Gladiators especially, and against their lineup, you lose one fight like that and get 5k net worth behind, it's over. Like, they're going to flawlessly execute for the rest of the game. That's what they're known for. That's what they do.
It's hard to play sacrificial like that, even if you don't bring 4 and lose a team fight. If even just one person's all of a sudden off the map, you're just wondering maybe how you ought to be able to take down at Gaming Gladiators. But either way, it has been a phenomenal day at #1 here in Royal Arena. Let's have a look at our bracket. Let's see how it's shaping up, because our top 8 teams came into day #1. We are leaving with 6 teams, though. We had Falcons get a 2 over BB team. And then we also had Extreme Gaming get a 2-0 over Aurora. That does put them into that top 6. And they're going to be going up against the teams that fell from the upper bracket today. That was Cloud9 falling down to Team Liquid, and as we just saw, Tundra falling down to Gaming Gladiators. So it is a bittersweet where we got to see fantastic Dota, but unfortunately, all series going 2-0 winter. All of them going so quick.
Yeah, very, very surprising. You know, if you asked me at the beginning of the day, I would like tell you that, oh, this is going to be a long day. You know, you might see actually four series that have been 2-1, not 3-1.
3-1, that's a bit of, we're not into the grand finals just yet. But yeah, you're right. We thought there could have been a game number 3. In fact, we liked a lot of what Tundra was drafting. We've harped on about it so much, about this skill difference. But let's have a look at our games tomorrow, because it's going to be a big one. 6 coming in, only 3 will remain. Cloud9 up against Falcons starts our day right there at 10 a.m. Then it's Tundra up against Extreme Gaming. The losers of those 2 ones will be exiting a TI, which is unfortunate that their road will end there. But they will be playing later in the day. We're going to swap up to the upper bracket at that 4 p.m., which is that Team Liquid Gaming Gladiators rematch. And Fear, a lot of people are looking at these 2 teams potentially also facing off in the grand finals, just how great they're looking.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blitz said it best. Nobody beats Liquid 99 times. They'll have their day one day, so I feel like this matchup, you're learning more and more as you go on, but I will say Liquid looks better than they've ever looked in the past going up against Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there's that little bit of the mental reset too, Jenkins. They did previously win a LAN coming into this one, so maybe a bit more confidence about it, what they're able to do and able to achieve for themselves. So
they did, but every single time we have this your rhetoric, and every single time it goes one way or the other. I mean, I will say tomorrow there are when I saw those matches, it's just a lot of questions, like how does Tundra recover from what just happened? Can they recover? Because Extreme Gaming, in their series today, they looked extremely good, and they, in my opinion, didn't in some of their previous series. So there is a narrative of some of these teams like improving a lot as the tournament progresses, and if some of those teams can continue progressing and some don't, we might see a day of stomps tomorrow. But I doubt that. We're, in the late stage of TI, I think most of, all of these teams should be able to recover from any sort of loss that they feel.
All right. Well, look, Winder, I'll give you the last words to say here. Final thoughts about today and, outside of the 2-0 stomps that did happen.
Well, Dota is in a really good spot now. I think the games were great, even though there were stomps, but teams have shown like a significant amount of improvements over the past years, and I feel like the Dota is just getting cleaner and cleaner. That's why we are seeing the storms like this. I feel like it's a very good thing for the game, that the players are getting just really, really good at the game, and we are starting to see the true limits of certain heroes and certain drafts.
Yeah, unique playstyles, unique drafts, unique heroes being picked up, but either way, that is the end of day number 1 here at TI 13 in Royal Arena, Copenhagen, Denmark. We'll see you guys tomorrow for day number 2.